Chapter 549. Hiss. At 20 times the speed, the silver wings soon brought the shining armor to Chun Hao. The milky white soft armor was surrounded by flowing light, as if there were living creatures flowing along a fixed track. The intricate runes were like embroidered patterns on it, looking extremely beautiful. What surprised Chun Hao even more was that the soft armor felt as smooth and delicate as silk. Is this a saint-level magic treasure? Yes. This soft armor should be from the northernmost star. It belongs to the category of inferior divine weapons, but it's much more expensive than ordinary inferior divine weapons. It's almost certain that the owner of this soft armor should be the favorite disciple of a top figure on the demonic ant planet. Moreover, he should be about to break through the barrier and step into the heaven immortal stage. Otherwise, he wouldn't be willing to give away a divine weapon. Heavenly Master Yuanru said after seeing the soft armor up close. Human immortals and earth immortals could use divine weapons, but they were limited by their own realms and couldn't exert the true power of divine weapons. Coupled with the high price of divine weapons, they were extremely rare even among heaven immortals, let alone human immortals and earth immortals. Oh, this material is not bad. It's as light as a feather, smooth and delicate. Of course, it's made of silk from a kind of 10,000-year-old silkworm in the northernmost sea, a forbidden land on the northernmost star. This kind of silk is called northernmost silk. It's impervious to water and fire and has amazing tenacity. Even if it's not refined into a formation, it's still better than a top-grade spiritual treasure. The northernmost star has a lot of wealth because of this. Unfortunately, the production of northernmost silk is very small. 1,000 years is barely enough to refine such a treasure. Otherwise, the northernmost star could have been one of the top 10 main planets under the jurisdiction of our Yang star. Junior brother, you should refine it quickly and put it into your brain. You'd better not use it unless it's a critical moment. After all, your cultivation is only at the human immortal stage. Once you're exposed, you're likely to attract the attention of heaven immortals. Besides, if the elders of its original owner find out, they'll know that we killed it. I'm still a long way from reaching the heaven immortal stage. Senior brother, why don't you take it? How can I do that? It's all because you got it. Besides, senior brother also has a sacred artifact. Don't decline. Then I won't stand on ceremony. Chun Hao smiled faintly. After he finished speaking, he immersed his consciousness into it. After discovering that there were no obstructions and that it had indeed become an ownerless object, Chun Hao directly activated his blood essence and easily completed the refinement. It only needs a wisp of energy to reach the peak of the Earth celestial stage's defense. It's really powerful. Wouldn't that mean that an expert at the peak of the Earth's celestial stage, who could easily attain the defensive power of the heaven celestial stage after wearing it? Furthermore, it can extend and shrink at will, automatically protecting the entire body and stabilizing the soul. Haha. Fortunately, this was a surprise attack. It seems that its original owner didn't wear it at all and just stored it in the storage space. Otherwise, with this treasure robe, one soul wouldn't have been destroyed. I'll study it when I have the time. The silver wing once again turned into a beam of light and quickly chased after the Yang planet. Whether or not they could catch up to the Shiman clan and the remaining 3 forces would depend on luck. Now, Chun Hao had absolute confidence that even if he encountered the most powerful aircraft of the Shiman clan, he could make them suffer, not to mention the aircraft of the Black Rock planet and the Dragon Snake planet. Except for the Shiman clan, Chun Hao didn't care about the young cultivators or innocent people on the aircraft of other planets at all. An enemy was an enemy. There was no reason for him to be kind and care whether they were innocent or not, especially in this kind of environment. Moreover, when they wanted to destroy the Silver Wing, why would they care about the lives of more than 80 young cultivators? Only when he encountered the Shiman clan could Chun Hao not kill them with one blow. The reason was very simple. Shiman foam. This guy was disgusting. But if Chun Hao had mercilessly bombarded the aircraft of the Shiman clan, it would not have been in line with his principles. He had a clear distinction between kindness and hatred. A favor was a favor. No matter how disgusting he had sincerely helped Chun Hao. If it weren't for Shimin Feng's reminder, it would be hard to say what the situation would be now. Moreover, Shimin Feng later brought him news through the cultivator on the Silver Wing. Flying at 20 times the normal speed, Chun Hao switched channels. With the support of Heavenly Lord Yuanru's energy, he modified the Silver Wing again. 15 days. In just 15 days, the Silver Wing arrived at the chaotic space at the edge of the Yang planet. In the meantime, it destroyed the aircraft of the Dragon Snake planet and the bodies of 3 Heaven Immortal Realm experts. There was no room for resistance. At the same time, with the high-grade materials from the aircraft of the Dragon Snake planet, the Silver Wing was strengthened again. In terms of size, it was a giant even compared to the aircraft of the Shimin clan, not to mention its various abilities. The only thing that hadn't been upgraded was the detection system. Enter the second main channel. Junior brother, what are you doing? Only 3 have been destroyed. If I'm not mistaken, the Black Rock planet should be on the second main channel. It's time for us to intercept and kill them. As for the Shimin clan, let's let them go for now. Okay. Heavenly Lord Yuanru looked at Chun Hao's calm expression and felt a chill in his heart. Although Chun Hao was only a human immortal, his decisiveness and cruel means of killing made him feel inferior. Another 10 days later, the aircraft of the Black Rock planet, second only to the Shimin clan, was destroyed. The 2 guys at the peak of the advanced stage of the Heaven Immortal Realm made Chun Hao spend a lot of effort and 4 shells to destroy their bodies. However, Chun Hao was very satisfied with the materials obtained this time. The materials from the demonic ant planet and the dragon snake planet couldn't compare to them. That was why Chun Hao's counterattack went so smoothly. Shimin Luyun, who thought that he had returned triumphantly, had no idea that Shimin Feng, who had secretly betrayed his clan for true love, had saved them instead. However, Chun Hao had let them go because of Shimin Feng, but that didn't mean. In the chaotic space, the Silver Wing became the original Silver Wing again. It was battered and on the verge of collapse. Then it tore open the space barrier and entered the space of the Yang planet. This guy, at that moment, there seemed to be an insignificant energy turbulence in the void. It suddenly emitted a faint fluctuation, and then a real giant aircraft appeared in the void. Even the Silver Wing, which had been modified several times, was like a monkey in front of an elephant in front of this aircraft. If Chun Hao had seen it, he would have been extremely shocked. That was because the runes on this aircraft were far more profound than those modified by him and the old god. Not only could it turn invisible, but it could also maintain an unimaginable speed while invisible. Of course, Chun Hao would have been even more shocked if he had seen the figure of someone inside the aircraft. That's a good trick, and you were careful enough. Unfortunately, your ability is limited. Unless you don't show up forever, you'll still be exposed, won't you? Showing mercy to the Shimin clan, you can be considered to have a clear distinction between gratitude and grudges. However, I don't care about that. You didn't do anything wrong by using such shameless means. What's wrong is that you dared to attack my son, even if you don't know. Humph. Swish. With this majestic and overbearing voice, the giant aircraft turned into a stream of light and entered the main passage to the Wuji planet. Immediately, the shape of the giant aircraft also changed. It shrunk by 100 times and became the modified form of the Silver Wing. Then, the Shimin clan's aircraft was horrified to find that the aircraft was crashing towards them. The terrifying speed and huge body made Shimin Feng's hair stand on end. He did not hesitate to protect Shimin Feng by his side. At the same time, he wanted to activate the aircraft to dodge. But in the end, he was powerless. Boom. Amidst the earth-shaking loud noise, the Shimin clan's aircraft was directly turned into dust. The cultivator inside, Shimin Luyun, ran wildly with blood. He protected Shimin Feng with his life and escaped. The celestial immortal servant also escaped with serious injuries. Shimin Luyun did not know that this reaction time was deliberately left for him by the other party because of Shimin Feng. On this point, a certain someone maintained the same stance as Chun Hao. It was just that he could do what Chun Hao could not. For example, Chi. Just as Shimin Luyun was filled with fear, A stream of light flew out from the aircraft that had crashed into them. Just by seeing the other party's appearance, Shimin Luyun and his servant almost fainted from fright. It's over. This was their only thought. What kind of concept was it to be 1,000 feet tall? It had hundreds of arms. No, tentacles. What kind of concept was that? Under the boundless and terrifying pressure, the entire chaotic space fell into absolute silence. Shimin Luyun and his servant wanted to speak, but they couldn't. Their bodies were imprisoned, and Shimin Feng had long since fainted. He could only stare blankly at the giant monster that was laughing sinisterly as it approached step by step. Then, two tentacles grabbed Shimin Luyun and his servant as if they were grabbing chicks. With a pop sound, their bodies were squeezed to the point of exploding. However, what surprised Shimin Luyun was that after doing all this, the other party did not imprison their primordial spirits. He directly boarded the giant aircraft with a strange smile and disappeared. It came and went quickly. Everything was like a dream, but Shimin Feng and his servant would rather have never had such a dream. What was that? That was the insect clan, which was more powerful than the vast universe galaxy of the human clan. At the very least, the insect clan was at the peak of the late stage of Daluo Jinxian. However, it could clearly destroy itself completely. So why did it let them go? Yes, the arrogant insect clan master disdained to kill us, right? Otherwise, Shimin Feng, a human immortal, would not be unscathed. This seemed to be the only explanation. Let's go. After being stunned for 2 full minutes, Shimin Luyun came back to his senses. Guarding Shimin Feng, he used all his strength and quickly fled toward the Ying planet, which was not far away. This way, there won't be much of a problem. At least the losses of the Shimin family and the 4 planets can be blamed on the insect clan. Otherwise, they will definitely suspect the Silver Wing, which may cause a greater commotion among the higher-ups. Looking at Shimin Luyun and the other 2 fleeing in panic, Chun Hai, who had an ordinary face and could not be more ordinary, said flatly in the giant SUV. Immediately, the giant aircraft disappeared into the chaotic space. That's 2 updates for today. Well, although Wushan is embarrassed to say it, looking at the shabby data, he really has the urge to kill himself with a piece of tofu. It seems that there are only about 20 brothers and sisters fighting with me. I can see the rewards and monthly votes, but I can't see who the recommendation votes are. However, looking at the 100 or so votes per day, there are at most 20 people voting, right? After all, most of the recommendation votes per account are several per day. Now, there are more than 1,000 24-hour subscriptions, but Wushan has been fighting for half a month, and there are still only a few votes. This is really a little depressing. I hope everyone can give me some encouragement. If you have the support of monthly votes, please vote. If you don't have the support of monthly votes, please vote. I also hope that you can support me by subscribing. If you don't have the ability to subscribe, please come to Qidian to support me by voting. Let me know that I'm not fighting alone. Please, everyone. Thank you. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to vote for me at Qidian. Come. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 550. Qi. The space barrier, which was several times stronger than that of the Wuji planet, was suddenly torn apart. The Silver Wing, which was in tatters and on the verge of collapse, appeared in the space of the Yang planet. Everyone, we have finally arrived at the Ying planet. Heavenly Venerable Yuanru finally appeared in the cabin of the Silver Wing. He looked relieved and excited as he glanced over the 80 cultivators. Splash! We did it! Ha! It's so good to be alive. The cultivators who had experienced the cruel and thrilling battle were undoubtedly excited when they heard the news. This was much better than Chun Hao's announcement that they had survived the danger. After all, who knew if they would be overtaken in the long interstellar journey, or if they encountered other dangers? Only when they reached their destination would they be truly safe. Many excited faces looked at Heavenly Venerate Yuanru with unprecedented reverence and respect. Without Heavenly Venerable Yuanru, they would all be dead. Ahem. Heavenly Venerable Yuanru looked a little embarrassed. He had experienced this kind of situation countless times, but he had never felt such strong admiration and respect. It should have felt good, right? However, he could not because he knew that it was Chunhao who had won all this, not him. He was just a replacement that Chunhao had pushed forward. However, he could not explain himself. We arrived safely, but our silver wing is about to be scrapped. That's fortunate. At the same time, all of you are good. Without your full cooperation, we would not have been able to arrive safely. This time, on behalf of Master and Patriarch Wuji, I will reward everyone here. Everyone who burned their lifespan will receive 100 Wuji planet contribution points. Everyone else will receive 10 points. At the same time, disciples who arrived at the Ying planet for the first time will receive 500 immortal core crystals each. Splash! 100 contribution points. Ha! Awesome. Ha! No way. I should have burned some of my lifespan too. Senior brother, our contribution points very precious. Of course, 5 contribution points can be exchanged for a superior grade spiritual weapon. 10 contribution points can be exchanged for a lower grade spiritual treasure. 100 contribution points, that can be exchanged for a superior grade spiritual treasure. How can not be good? Heavenly Venerable Yuanru is really generous this time. Moreover, each of you is getting 500 immortal origin crystals, which is 5 times the amount we got the first time we came here. It was a blessing in disguise. Ha! Heavenly Lord Yuanru's announcement of the rewards immediately caused an uproar among the 80 overcultivators. On the other hand, Chunhao has contributed a lot this time. His body and soul have suffered severe recoil because he forcibly used my magical equipment to absorb your energy and help me modify Silverwing. After learning that we are safe on the Asianing planet, he fell into a coma. Therefore, on behalf of the Infinity Ancestor, I will reward him with 200 contribution points. Does anyone have any objections? Emperor Yuanru looked very serious on the surface, but he was very conflicted in his heart. In fact, he had discussed this with Chunhao to confuse everyone. It couldn't be helped. Chunhao's performance along the way was too strange in many ways. In this dangerous situation, no one asked too much, and no one would delve too deeply into it. But what about after they got out? Now that he thought about it, that was simply too perverted. No problem. That was how it should be. We've all seen Brother Chen's efforts. He doesn't have a single moment of rest. That's right. 200 contribution points are too little. I have no problem giving Brother Chen 500 contribution points. Yes, we have no problem with that. All right, since no one has any problem with that, 200 contribution points is settled, said Heavenly Lord Yuanru. What happened to Brother Hao? Heavenly Lord Yuanru, can we go in and take a look? The beautiful sisters, who had been wondering why Chunhao hadn't come out yet, immediately asked worriedly when they heard Heavenly Lord Yuanru's words. Although they felt a little strange, a lofty figure like Heavenly Lord Yuanru wouldn't lie to them. Don't worry, he's just passed out. He's probably in a self-healing state. Go in and take a look. Heavenly Lord Yuanru waved his hand and sent the beautiful sisters into the control room. Huh? What the 2 beautiful sisters didn't expect was that when they entered the control room, the first thing they saw was Chunhao with his signature smile. He was holding a wine glass in his hand with one leg crossed over the other as he stared at the 2 beautiful sisters. How is he unconscious? Huan, Lele, I'm just fooling them. I've never been better. Ha! Chunhao said as he put down his wine cup. He opened his arms and pulled the 2 beautiful sisters into his embrace. Brother Hao, you scared us to death. Why did you lie to them? Of course there's a reason. I don't want to be too high profile. A tall tree attracts the wind. The enemy's real target this time is me. If I had kept a low profile, this wouldn't have happened. You must be hiding something from us, Lung Ningle said directly when she saw Chunhao's smug expression. Their instincts told them that Chunhao's contribution to this crisis was not as simple as Heavenly Lord Yuanru said. When they thought about how Chunhao was the one who appeared in front of everyone to devour the energy, they had a feeling that Chunhao was the mastermind behind all this. It's good that you know. Beep, beep, beep. Junior brother, leave it to me, said Heavenly Lord Yuanru as he walked in. Okay, After that, Heavenly Lord Yuanru sent out a request to land. After receiving a reply, the heavily damaged Silver Wing opened all its windows and slowly landed in a vast field filled with aircraft that stretched as far as the eye could see. Ha! Heavenly Lord Yuanru, what's wrong with you? This Silver Wing Infinity is too damaged, isn't it? As soon as the cabin door opened, Heavenly Lord Yuanru and Chunhao stepped out of the control room. They heard a loud voice. Cough, cough. We were attacked by some unknown forces. We're already very lucky to be able to survive. Heavenly Lord Longxiang, we have a total of 67 newcomers this time. Please help us register them. Of course. Let them all come down. These 3 are newcomers too, right? Yeah. This little brother seems to be the Chunhao whose name shook the arena during this period of time. You flatter me. Chunhao pays his respects to the senior. Chunhao is slightly surprised. He did not expect himself to be so famous. The seemingly straightforward cultivator in front of him was actually at the peak of the advanced stage of the heavenly immortal stage. The invisible aura he emitted was much stronger than Heavenly Lord Yuanru. Why would he pay attention to a cultivator at his level? Ha! Long, that kid told me about you. You're indeed a rare genius. Rare. Looks like there's something fishy about the attack this time. Chunhao, if you have time, come visit our Long family. Long, he is my nephew. He rarely praises anyone. It's very rare for him to mention you so many times. I believe he would like to meet you in person. Ha! So it's Uncle Long. I'll definitely go and disturb you then. To be able to make friends with someone like Brother Long E, I can't ask for anything more. Ha! Chunhao smiled faintly. Originally, he was still a little reserved, but in an instant he became very confident, and the words he spoke were a lot more intimate. It was not that Chunhao did it on purpose. It was just that he felt a sense of camaraderie with Long E. As the saying went, they hit it off at first sight. Of course, Chunhao's enthusiasm also had deeper considerations. This was something he would never have done in his previous life. But now, it was natural for him to do so. Soon, everyone walked out of the Silver Wing one by one. Heavenly Lord Longxiang was holding a token that emitted a mysterious aura. He asked everyone to activate their energy one by one and said their names. This was something all cultivators who entered the Ying planet for the first time had to do. Chunhao and the beautiful sisters also registered. Junior brother, Heavenly Lord Longxiang, is one of the emissaries in charge of the newcomer registration on the Ying planet. This job may seem like a menial one, but without great strength one can't do it. Oh, is there something special about it? Of course, being in charge of the newcomer registration is secondary. His main purpose is to check if there are any foreign tribes that have sneaked in. Without superb perception, strength, and knowledge, one can't do it. He's much stronger than senior brother. He probably knows you because of Long E. Although the Long family is not one of the 5 great families on the Ying planet, even the 5 great families don't dare to provoke them easily. The main reason is that the Long family is basically made up of top geniuses. If it weren't for the fact that they don't accept non-direct descendants and have too few family members, they would have no problem becoming one of the 5 great families. Heavenly Lord Yuanru communicated with Chunhao via voice transmission while explaining to everyone what they should pay attention to after entering the Ying planet and what they had to do. Thanks to Heavenly Lord Yuanru's explanation, as well as the explanations of more than a dozen Earth celestial stage experts who had been here before, everyone had a better understanding of their future cultivation and life. Now, they were entering a small city on the Ying planet, Golden Light City. The headquarters of the Wuji planet was in Golden Light City. However, except for the natives of the Ying planet, cultivators from other planets could not establish their own forces. To be precise, all cultivators from other planets had to integrate into the forces of the Ying planet. As for which level of force they could join, it depended on their own conditions. Therefore, after registering here, the first thing they had to do was to enter the Ying Planet Alliance Guild in the second world's Ying City to take the test. Based on the results of the test, they would be selected by various forces to become their disciples. This is the Golden Light City branch of the Wealth Center. Everyone, please register your wealth card. After you have your wealth card number, I will transfer your celestial core crystals as a reward to you. You can use some for cultivation purposes. As for other expenses, you can use your wealth card directly. It's very convenient whether you're in the second world or on the Ying planet. Heavenly Lord Yuanru explained as he led everyone to the wealth center. This was also something they had to do after entering the Ying planet. Otherwise, they would not be able to enter many places in the second world. P.S. Thank you for all your support yesterday. I can't repay you with anything but outburst. Brothers and sisters, please continue to fight side by side with Wushan. If you vote, I'll outburst. If I'll outburst, you vote. Today, you'll outburst at least 20,000 times. Monthly votes and recommendation votes. Please vote for Wushan. Thank you. To be continued. If you like this work, you're welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote for recommendation votes and monthly votes. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 551. The dozen or so Earth Celestial Stage elites could have left immediately and reported to their respective forces. However, because Heavenly Venerable Yuanru had lent them their celestial core crystals and contribution points as rewards, they had stayed behind to take on the role of commentator. Junior brother, your wealth card is anonymous and has a limited time limit. You should register it again and bind it to your identity. Only then will it truly belong to you, Heavenly Master Yuanru said to Chun Hao. All right. After settling these trivial matters, Heavenly Master Yuanru cashed in the immortal core crystals as a reward and led the crowd to the station on the Wuji planet. On the Wuji planet, where cultivators from all the planets under its jurisdiction gathered, every inch of land was worth its weight in gold. Even a small city like the Golden Light City was no exception. Therefore, the size of the station on the Wuji planet surprised the newcomers, including Chun Hao. Even the star-picking sect before its expansion was bigger than this station, let alone the Winter Plum Hall. There were many elders at the peak of the advanced Earth celestial stage guarding the station. When they saw Heavenly Master Yuanru leading the crowd, they all bowed to him. Some even hurried over to greet their juniors. These elders were all cultivators on the Wuji planet and were well-known figures in the major forces on the Wuji planet. However, they were only staff of the Wuji planet station. After Heavenly Master Yuanru gave instructions to the Wuji planet's Contribution Points Management Center and confirmed the Contribution Points reward for everyone present, the dozen or so Earth Celestials, especially those who had burned their lifespan, rushed in excitedly to exchange for their favorite magic treasures. You can choose any of the residences here. The test will begin in a month. During this time, you can cultivate in the second world or try your luck in the arena. If you perform well, your test results will be increased. There is a document in each room. Read it carefully. All right, you're dismissed. I'll inform you in the second world in a month. Also, you can go to the Golden Light City and familiarize yourself with the Wuji planet. Heavenly Master Yuanru said. At the same time, he sent a voice transmission to Chun Hao. Junior brother, you can choose any room you like. This is the standard in the station. There's no special treatment. That's fine. Also, junior brother, you have to prepare well for the test this time. The results of this test were important to every cultivator in the vast universe galaxy. It was also something that every cultivator had to do. Moreover, this test was unified throughout the entire vast universe galaxy. It was of great significance. You don't have to worry about being chosen by the factions. Your performance in the arena has definitely attracted the attention of the various factions. However, Master's expectations for you are far greater than that. Your goal is to step out of the Asianing planet and join the real top forces. Therefore, this time, no matter what the forces on the Ying planet offer, don't agree. Understood. All right, then senior brother will go take care of some matters first. If there's anything, look for me, all right. After Chun Hao finished speaking, he led the two beautiful sisters to choose two rooms. The two sisters were inseparable, and they cultivated and slept together. One room was enough for them. Although Chun Hao wanted the three of them to share a room, he resisted the urge. It wasn't that he was a gentleman. On the contrary, there was a certain throbbing in his heart that was ready to make a move. However, he knew that now was not the time. In particular, before they were sure which faction they would join, it was better not to act rashly. After all, many cultivation methods and unique techniques of the various factions required a primordialine body. Apart from that, neither the sisters nor Chun Hao were ready to start dual cultivation. In a sense, dual cultivation was the best time to start when one reached one's limit. With the help of the fusion of spirit and body during dual cultivation, one's latent ability would be stimulated, and one's understanding of each other would be enhanced. A genius like Chun Hao naturally didn't care. In fact, it didn't mean much to him. However, Chun Hao had to consider the future of the girls, didn't he? So there's a deadline. After entering the room, Chun Hao picked up a document on the table and quickly browsed through it. It was a guidebook for entering the Asian planet. Through the document, Chun Hao learned that any cultivator on the Wuji planet who entered the Asian planet for the first time could only stay in the station for 1 year. That was to say, they had to be selected by another faction within a year. Otherwise, they would have to be sent back to the Wuji planet. Of course, if they weren't selected and didn't want to go back, they could only apply to become an individual cultivator on the Asian planet. Such individual cultivators could also take on missions. However, without a sect or faction backing them, they couldn't take on many team missions. Phew! Exploration of the astral wilderness, mysterious space missions, ancient heritage territories, mining mineral veins, hunting down aliens, border battles, missions to infiltrate alien planets. Not bad at all. Chun Hao read the introduction of the Alliance's mission system. Although he didn't know the details, the name alone made him a little excited. The missions on the Wuji planet were indeed incomparable. The danger, challenge, and rewards were undoubtedly huge. Apart from the most basic business, the only way for cultivators to make money is to do missions. It's difficult to kill and rob openly, especially among the human race. Chun Hao said to himself. All the planets and all the living beings in the vast universe galaxy were called the human race. Looking at the missions, it was clear that the only enemy of the human race was the alien race. The internal management was very strict. No one could bully the weak or kill the innocent in any city unless it was an arranged battle. Otherwise, they would be punished by the Alliance, just like the laws on Earth. Of course, these restrictions were a little different from those on Earth. The difference was that the laws on Earth said everyone is equal in name, but in the vast universe galaxy, it was clearly written that different status, treatment, and rights were different. The higher the status, the fewer restrictions they would receive. It's like a hypocrite and a real villain. The so-called everyone is equal is really hypocritical. How can the rich and powerful be the same as the ordinary people? The so-called laws are just shackles specially set for the ordinary people, weapons for the rich and powerful. It's better here. At least on the surface, the strong have the privileges of the strong. If you want to have privileges, you have to become a strong person. Phew! I've broken through 2 lower realms in succession to the late stage of the human celestial stage. I have to consolidate the lower realms first. The spiritual chi of heaven and earth and the law of heaven on the Yang planet are obviously a place where luck gathers. This Golden Light City is just a small city on the Yang planet. Compared to this, the Wuji planet is really a slum. Let's start cultivating. I also need to meditate for a while in the second world. Swish! Chun Hao, who had already refined the soul helmet into his body, immediately adjusted his true core strength, essence, chi, and spirit to the early stage of the human celestial stage. Chun Hao, who had found the direction of his great path, naturally had to completely master the comprehension of the early stage of the human celestial stage in the second world before he could start on the next realm. Beep, beep, beep. A white light flashed, and Chun Hao appeared in the Yang city. The moment he appeared, several messages appeared in his mind. They were from Chan Shui, Helian Wuzi, Xia Yuyu, and the sisters who came in earlier than Chun Hao. Is little Yin really in danger? Chun Hao was most looking forward to receiving news from Tantile Yin. Tantile Yin had not returned since he entered the second world. Even if she was in the middle of a mission, she should have logged into the second world and sent a message saying that she was safe. right? But she did not. Obviously, it was not that she did not want to, but that she could not. How could Chun Hao, Chen Shui, and the others not be worried about this situation? We can only wait until the test. Chen Hao frowned slightly and replied to the girl's messages. Then he took the teleportation device and went directly to his residence. Masters, why are you here? When Chun Hao walked into his residence, he saw Venerable Immortal Han Mei and Venerable Immortal Yun Wei sitting in the small courtyard with Chun Shui, Helian Wuzi, Tantai Lian, and the sisters who had just arrived. We've been waiting for your news. We just received a message from Heavenly Venerable Yuan Ru saying that you were attacked on the way. What happened? It's nothing. It's just a few planets that want to replace our Wuji planet as the main planet, and a Shiman family that has been coveting us for many years. Fortunately, Heavenly Venerable Yuan Ru took us and escaped. It was daunting, but not dangerous. Masters, you don't have to worry, Chen Hao said vaguely. He had even mentioned the sisters vaguely. Naturally, he could not be too clear about his two masters. Although he could not completely hide it from his two masters who knew him very well, it was fine as long as they understood. There was no need to make it clear. They chatted together for an hour. Chun Hao asked about his younger brother, younger sister, and the members of Outyin. Venerable Han Mei and Venerable Immortal Yun Wei also told Chun Hao and the sisters some things to pay attention to, especially the routine test. Then they left the second world with satisfaction. They had safely arrived at the Ying planet, broken through 2 minor realms in the Silver Wing, and achieved amazing results in the arena. How could they not be satisfied? These are not secrets. Chun Hao did not need to say anything. Because of his 10,000 consecutive victories and the peak battle with Long Yi, the news had already spread in the Ying city of the Second World. The venerable immortal experts of the Wuji planet often went to the Spirit Realm city to enter the Second World. Naturally, they would pass on the news to Venerable Han Mei and Venerable Immortal Yun Wei. After the two left, Chun Hao and the girls exchanged feelings. Of course, it was inevitable. However, they had to keep it in moderation so as not to get burned by playing with fire. Phew! 1 month is 10 months in the Second World. I have to fully comprehend it within 3 months. I have to master it in the real world in the remaining time. Only then can I step out of the Ying planet. Bailey Ningbing entered the station room and sat down cross-legged. Her eyes shone with determination. Comprehending the chaotic space allowed her to comprehend the immortal intent realm in advance by chance. This made her, who is already full of ambition, even more confident. If I master it, my test results will definitely be better than yours. I will make you regret it. Bailey Ningbing gnashed her teeth when she thought of Chun Hao's face. However, she did not know that someone had never cared about her. How could she regret it? Second update. Dark Mountain continues. If you have a monthly vote or a recommendation vote, please vote for Dark Mountain. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 552. In the cultivation room in the Second World. 10001 battles, 10,000 victories, and 1 peak showdown. Chen Hao's mind was like a fast-paced movie playing at high speed. Not a single detail was left out. It played in Chen Hao's mind over and over again. From an extremely focused mind without any distractions, it gradually sublimated. Like pulling out silk from a cocoon, it condensed the essence of 10,000 battles into a single thread that circled around Chen Hao's mind, until it was impossible to be tranquil and extremely vivid. Chi, 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 without any sign or thought. Even though Chen Hao's eyes were closed, his body floated up on its own. Even he didn't realize that his body had started to practice according to the comprehension in his mind. When it was fierce, it was like a spirit snake coming out of its cave, or a hidden dragon coming out of the sea. When it was violent, it was like a flash flood, or a mount tide pressing down. When it was gentle, it was like a cool breeze, or rain moistening everything. Every single move seemed as if they were made by nature. Most shockingly, Every single move contained a dense aura, and it seemed as if they'd fused into the embryonic form of some sort of ultimate technique. Even Chun Hao himself had utterly not noticed that a simple talisman marking that was different from any other ultimate technique he'd grasped had started to naturally form within it, a weak but arrogant aura quietly spread out. If the limitless ancestor was here, he would be so shocked that his eyeballs would fall out. His own Tao, the Tao of origin, the embryonic form of Tao. However, Chun Hao didn't know all of this. Even after he had practiced for 3 days and 3 nights, he thought that he was immersed in comprehension and didn't know that he had moved. Only the wisp of comprehension in his mind made Chun Hao feel that his spirit and flesh were crystal clear. This feeling was the enlightenment of his state of mind and the sublimation of his soul. In the second world, 10 months passed in the blink of an eye. Chun Hao was switching between movement and stillness. He didn't have any consciousness to urge him, and it was completely spontaneous. It wasn't until the sound of someone knocking on the door that Chun Hao suddenly woke up with a start. He still hadn't had enough. Cultivation knows no time. It's already been 10 months? I actually forgot the passage of time. Chun Hao slowly opened his eyes and muttered. An unprecedented peace of mind lingered in his heart, and it even caused him to have a misconception. Was these 10 months an instant, or was it millions and millions of years? It's just 10 months in the second world and 1 month in the real world. Why do I have such a feeling? Has he gone crazy from all the training? But it seems like he has completely comprehended it. Whoosh! Chun Hao stood up. His mind had completely returned to normal. He pushed the door open and walked out. Brother Hao, am I bothering you? The beautiful sisters appeared side by side in front of Chun Hao. Their beautiful faces seemed to have become even more enchanting. Their skin was as white as snow, and their eyes were bright and white. What made Chun Hao even more surprised was that he saw something he couldn't see before. This strange situation caused Chun Hao's eyes to widen. Brother Hao, what's wrong? Cough, cough. Nothing, nothing. Wan Wan, Lele, where are they? They went to the arena. Here, you've been in seclusion for 10 months. Brother Hao, didn't you receive news from Heavenly Venerable Yuanru? I received it. It's just that I didn't realize. Chun Hao was still looking at the 2 girls with a strange gaze. At the same time, he stretched out his hand to touch their Taoist robes. After confirming that they were wearing clothes, he heaved a sigh of relief. How could this be? Could it be that this seclusion in the second world allowed him to obtain such an awesome and flirtatious divine ability? Let's go and gather. The beautiful sisters were stared at by Chun Hao until their cheeks turned red. However, they obediently held onto Chun Hao's arms. They didn't avoid Chun Hao's lewd gaze. On the contrary, their hearts were filled with sweetness. Because, in this period of time, Chun Hao, who treated them too seriously, instead made them a little nervous. Especially when they saw Chun Hao being intimate with Chen Shui, Helian Wuzi, and Xia Yuyu. Although they didn't complain and were already clear of their positions, their hearts had long belonged to Chun Hao. How could they not hope that Chun Hao would treat them better? No complaints, but that didn't mean that they didn't desire it. All right. Huan Huan, Lele, how's your cultivation recently? Is your progress godly? Or should I say, have you felt your limits? No. Although our progress isn't as fast as Brother Hao, but compared to many people, we're still stronger. Lung Ningel said innocently. She completely didn't expect that a certain someone, because of some flirtatious ability, seemed to have started to ripple. Is that so? Then we'll talk about it in the future. Brother Hao, you're acting strange today, what? We haven't seen each other for 10 months. I just miss you, huh? Let's go. Chun Hao retracted his gaze and calmed his rippling emotions. At this time, that flirtatious ability was naturally concealed. Yes, it was concealed, not disappeared. Chun Hao had a clear feeling that he could control this ability. As long as he was willing, the beautiful sisters would still be naked in front of him. Seclusion, cultivation, enlightenment, after reaching a certain level, would often give birth to some kind of divine ability that surpassed the category of absolute arts. Chun Hao was very clear about this. However, he didn't know why his seclusion this time had given birth to such a divine ability. However, although this divine ability didn't have any power, it had to be said that a certain someone liked it very much. To be more precise, as long as one was a man, they would like it. Ing City, Ing Planet Alliance Testing Center. The lofty palace was like a mountain, standing in the most prosperous area of Ing City. This time, the Silver Wing brought all the human celestial stage cultivators from the Wuji planet, except for Chun Hao and the beautiful sisters, were all present. There were a total of 67 people. Heavenly Venerable Yuan Ru was also waiting at the entrance of the testing center. Everyone, wait a little longer. Don't rush. Chun Hao and the other two will be here soon. Heavenly Venerable Yuan Ru explained when he saw everyone's impatience. Intentionally or unintentionally, he would look at Bailey Ning Bing, who was isolated from the crowd, with a trace of curiosity and surprise. Judging by the aura alone, Heavenly Venerable Yuan Ru was a little surprised because at this moment, Bailey Ning Bing's aura had advanced to the peak of the human celestial stage. This was really beyond Heavenly Venerable Yuan Ru's expectations. Even compared to Chun Hao, he was not inferior. Of course, this also depended on whether Chun Hao's real body had advanced to the peak of the human celestial stage. If not, then Bailey Ning Bing would surpass him. After all, it had only been a month in the real world. Above the celestial venerate stage, even human celestials, the progress of their cultivation was abnormally slow, even if they were in the same stage. For example, if a cultivator at the intermediate human celestial stage wanted to advance to the peak of the intermediate human celestial stage, it was not as simple as refining true yuan. It also required the improvement of one's state of mind and soul. Only when one's state of mind and soul had reached a certain level could one successfully refine enough true yuan. It could be said that the state of mind and soul were containers. If the container was not big enough, no matter how much you refined it, it could only hold a little bit of true yuan. Beauties, stunning beauties, so many beauties, handsome, so many handsome guys. Huh? What's there to be surprised about? This is the disciple of the Wuji planet. He looks good, but his bloodline is far inferior to ours. He's just the best choice to be a top-grade slave. To tell you the truth, although the bloodline of the Wuji planet isn't that great, it's still one of the main planets under the jurisdiction of the Yang planet. It's not that bad, but now it's declining and even being suppressed by many forces because of their looks. Why? It's simple. Once they lose their status as the main planet, they'll be able to buy and sell freely. At that time, whoever wins the bid for the Wuji planet will obtain an endless supply of top-grade slaves. That's a huge fortune. The significance of them becoming slave planets is completely different from other planets. There are many planets that aren't the main planet, but apart from planets rich in resources, basically no one will buy them. The main reason is the price. Any planet has a sky-high price. It's also a measure to protect the planet. If no one buys it, they'll be able to keep their freedom and have a chance to become the main planet. As for planets like the Wuji planet, once it loses its status as the main planet, it'll be the target of competition even if the price is sky-high. It's basically certain that they won't even have a chance to turn the tables. What are you looking at? I'm telling the truth. This is your fate. The unbridled conversation made the faces of the people of the Wuji planet turn ugly. They glared at the young disciple who was talking loudly among the other group. Ignore him, everyone, Heavenly Lord Yunru said calmly. He seemed to be used to this kind of situation. What he said is true. We have no way out. So, you must work hard to cultivate. Only when we're truly strong can we crush these rumors. Everyone, don't worry. As long as the Wuji planet doesn't fall, no one can bully you. At most, they'll just humiliate you with words. Right at this moment, the proud and aloof Bailey Ning Bing suddenly snorted coldly. Her gaze was like two sharp swords as she glared fiercely at the youth who was shamelessly humiliating planet Wuji. She said, "Which planet are you from?" "Oh, absolute beauty. Are you interested in me?" "I'm home top planet, ranked 306 on the main planet, Zhu Feheo. If you're willing, I can give you the position of a concubine." One day, I'll make you and your planet pay the price for what you said today. Scram. Ha! What did you say? Chi. Without any warning, everyone, including Heavenly Lord Yuanru, didn't expect that Bailey Ningbing would directly attack with her sword. The resplendent sword light flashed in everyone's eyes and then disappeared. Everyone felt an incomparably sharp sword intent that seemed to have existed since time immemorial. There was no scream, but that arrogant and despotic fellow had actually turned into a ray of white light. Fast, ruthless, strong. Although the other party's aura was only at the initial stage of the human celestial stage, Heavenly Lord Yuanru was sure that even an expert at the peak of the advanced stage of the human celestial stage, who could be called a genius on the Asianing planet, wouldn't be spared. Yesterday, I received 20 monthly votes, nearly 200 recommendation votes, and a few tips from my brothers and sisters. Today, I explode. You vote, I explode. I have to say, this is passion. The power of passion. I'm not satisfied with 4 chapters. Today, I must update 5 chapters, 15,000 words. I'll keep going. Brothers and sisters, can you give me a continuous burst of energy? Please vote. To be continued. If you like this work, you're welcome to vote for me at Chidian. Come. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 553. You're courting death. The Empyrean Immortal leading the enemy had pretended not to hear, but he suddenly jumped out and slapped at Bailey Ningbing. No matter how strong Bailey Ningbing was, she couldn't resist the terrifying power contained in the enormous hand. That was the difference in absolute power. Yuanru snorted. He'd always kept a low profile, so as long as it wasn't a serious matter, he'd ignore such verbal taunts. However, Bailey Ningbing's ferocious attack surprised and pleased him at the same time. Young people had a strong sense of honor and disgrace, and their loftiness was a wheel that forced them to climb higher. How could Yuanru sit idly by when he saw an Empyrean Immortal attacking without regard for his status? That would only chill the hearts of the people on the Boundless Star. Moreover, his name as Heavenly Sovereign Yuanru seemed to have spread among the upper echelons of the Boundless Star. Many had even come to visit him. Their purpose was naturally to ask Yuanru to help them modify their aircrafts, refine their treasures, and so on. However, Yuanru turned them all down. He didn't know how to do that at all. Despite his refusal, he couldn't say that he didn't know how to do it. He had to pretend that he knew how to do it. So he could only find some excuses to refuse. This meant that Yuanru couldn't keep a low profile like before. So, why should he keep a low profile now? Rumble. Yuanru slapped out and easily blocked the enemy's attack, then leapt into the air. Celestial True Spirit, your disciple provoked Wuji in front of Old Man, but the old man didn't say anything. It makes sense that my disciple would teach her a lesson. The secondary world is a place where young people can mingle without restraint. But you, a great Empyrean Immortal, have the nerve to attack a junior? Don't you feel ashamed? And you're one of Hong Ta's personal disciples? What would your master think if he saw this? Yuanru was completely different from his usual good-natured persona. His words were sharp and merciless, as if he'd turned into a different person. Heavenly Venerate True Spirit was at a loss for words, and his heart burned with rage. The main planet was ranked 306. Although Ancestor Hong Ta's strength was nothing compared to a powerful planet like the Yang planet, he had a great sense of superiority when compared to the tiny Wuji planet. It was precisely because of this that he didn't take Heavenly Venerate Yuanru seriously at all. Otherwise, he wouldn't have ignored his disciple ridiculing Wuji Star in front of Heavenly Venerate Yuanru. Furthermore, Bailey Ningbing's arrogant words and violent attacks had infuriated him. Without even thinking, he wanted to teach her a lesson. Based on his understanding of Heavenly Sovereign Yuanru, there was no way Heavenly Sovereign Yuanru would dare to argue with him. But he did not expect that Empyrean Yuanru actually flew into a rage. Moreover, the words he said put him in an awkward position. It couldn't be helped. A master at the Heaven Celestial stage and a master with a certain reputation attacking a junior at the Human Celestial stage, especially in public, was indeed a matter of ridicule. Ew. Fine, fine. I just want to teach this arrogant disciple a lesson. Your disciple ridiculed Wuji Star in front of old man. Shouldn't I teach him a lesson even more? Heavenly Venerate Yuanru said coldly. Humph. I don't want to waste my time with you. Since your disciple is so arrogant, let my disciple show him that arrogance comes with a price. Do you dare? Heavenly Venerate True Spirit knew that he was in the wrong, but he couldn't just let the matter drop. Therefore, he directly asked his disciple to attack so that the other party would understand the difference between them. Although Bailey Ning Bing was ridiculously strong, the overall strength of their disciples was definitely much stronger than that of Wuji Star. What was there to fear? Moreover, he believed that the taciturn #1 genius on their side wouldn't disappoint him. Heavenly Venerate Yuanru was speechless. This was his sore spot, and also the real reason why he told his disciples to ignore it. Their strength was inferior, and that was the reality. No matter how much one said or how reasonable one was, it was all meaningless in the face of absolute strength. Why wouldn't I dare? A bunch of rookies. I alone am enough to deal with them. Swoosh! Suddenly, an arrogant and domineering voice resounded from the crowd. After that, a figure appeared in front of all the youths on the boundless star who were eager to make a move yet had extremely restrained expressions. Brother Chun Hao, junior brother. Ah, that's Chun Hao. Chun Hao, who has won 10,000 battles in a row and is evenly matched with the invincible immortal dragon E. Wow, what a pair of beautiful sisters. Chun Hao, who had disappeared for 10 months, was still as famous as ever in Yang City in the second world. Especially in the human immortal stage, he was like the sun in the midday sky. Even a veteran expert like Long, he was more curious about him. Therefore, it was only natural that he would be recognized by the crowd the moment he appeared. At this moment, Chun Hao's handsome face was shining with an aura of absolute arrogance. The two beautiful sisters, one on the left and the other on the right, were holding his arms. They looked calm, as if they didn't feel anything about Chun Hao's reaction and the atmosphere at this moment. Humph, let's fight. Who's going to beat who? Heavenly Lord Yuanru suddenly felt confident, because Chun Hao's aura was at the peak of the later stage of the human celestial stage. Chun Hao knew the importance of today's test. Naturally, he couldn't show up in a fake cultivation stage. Therefore, when he came here, he had enhanced himself to the peak state and re-entered the second world. Chun Hao didn't know that his appearance had made Bailey Ningbing flustered. This was the time for her to show off her strength and earn fame. However, Chun Hao, who came out of nowhere, stole her limelight instantly. This made her gnash her teeth in hatred. The hand holding the sword trembled slightly. The only thing she wanted to do was to defeat Chun Hao in the battle. Humph! Chun Hao, who has won 10,000 battles a row. How arrogant! Since you don't have any objections, then let's kill. Kill! Heavenly Lord Junling and Heavenly Lord Yuanru shouted almost simultaneously. Chi! Chi! Boom! 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 In an instant, a battle between newcomers broke out. The commotion had attracted countless onlookers. At first, most of them were newcomers who had come to take the test. However, after a short while, those who came to watch the battle were attracted by Chun Hao's fame. In fact, Heavenly Lord Jinling was also afraid of Chun Hao's fame. However, he had taken the initiative to challenge Chun Hao. Naturally, there was no reason for him to back down. If he did, he would be laughed at. Fortunately, according to the information he had gathered, Chun Hao was only at the initial stage of the human celestial stage and had won 10,000 battles in a row. Now, Chun Hao was at the later stage of the human celestial stage. Although his cultivation stage had increased, this was not the arena. Many of his disciples were at the later stage of the human celestial stage. Go to hell. F***CKU. Break. Shake your mind. Chun Hao, your opponent is me. In an instant, with sabers, swords, and raging energy, nearly 200 people were engaged in a chaotic battle. The disciples of Red Pagoda Planet were much stronger than those of the Wuji Star in terms of both quantity and overall strength. However, The number one genius of Red Tower Planet's disciples, the number one expert, had named Chun Hao as his opponent. Moreover, he had madly rushed towards Chun Hao. His powerful fighting spirit and his combat strength were several times stronger than others. No one could stop him from rushing towards Chun Hao. However, Chun Hao didn't have the slightest demeanor of an expert. Not only did he not meet his opponent head-on like everyone had imagined, he instead dodged everywhere. This was something that should be despised. However, at this moment, they could not bring themselves to despise him. Instead, they were shocked because of the combat strength that Chun Hao had displayed. Wherever he passed, no matter if it was the initial stage, the middle stage, or the late stage of the human celestial stage, no one was his opponent. To be exact, every time Chun Hao made a move, someone would turn into a white light. Moreover, it was more than one person. What was more surprising was that his attacks did not seem to be mysterious. They were simple and direct. Every move was so clean and neat that people suspected that it was just the most ordinary sword skills. However, it was these ordinary moves that made him seem like the Grim Reaper who was harvesting lives. In everyone's expectation, the Wuji star, which was far less powerful than Red Pagoda Planet in terms of both quantity and overall strength, should have been a one-sided situation at the beginning, even if Chun Hao and Bailey Ningbing were very strong. Then, the two of them would be besieged, and finally, all the disciples of the Wuji star would be killed. But now, the disciples of the Wuji star died very quickly. However, the disciples of Red Pagoda Planet died even faster. There was no doubt that the most efficient one was Chun Hao, or rather, Chun Hao's trio. The two beautiful sisters, who had telepathy, joined forces behind Chun Hao and formed the strongest support for Chun Hao. Therefore, Chun Hao did not have to worry about the situation behind him at all. He could just kill all the way. The second one was Bailey Ningbing, who had also shocked countless people. Her sword light was extremely fast and fierce, and it contained an immortal sword essence that seemed to exist forever. All the opponents who appeared around her, no matter how strong they were, only had one result: death. Although this was only a duel between cultivators in the human celestial stage, the onlookers were amazed. As for the people of Red Pagoda Planet, the so-called number one genius, the number one master, was chasing Chun Hao madly. However, every time he got close, Chun Hao would force him back with a casual sword attack. Although he could not kill him, it was very obvious who was stronger and who was weaker. Perhaps he was really angry because of Chun Hao. This guy was chasing after Chun Hao no matter what. Fortunately, no matter how strong Chun Hao's trio and Bailey Ningbing were, they could not make the people of Wuji Star stronger. With the overall strength and number of opponents, the speed of death was very fast. It took a long time to describe, but in fact, in just a few minutes, there were only a few people left in the battle. When there was only one person left on Red Pagoda Planet, there were still 4 people on Wuji Star: Chun Hao, the 2 beautiful sisters, and Bailey Ningbing. Now, do you still want to hide? Chi. Without the interference of the crowd, the young man of Red Pagoda Planet finally used his most powerful move to attack Chun Hao. Chi. Chun Hao stood there confidently. Before he could make a move, a sword light suddenly greeted him. Wushan will rest for a few minutes before continuing. I should be able to come out around 10 o'clock. Looking for monthly votes, recommendation votes, subscriptions. Thank you. To be continued. If you like this work, you're welcome to come Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 554. Seeing this scene, Chun Hao immediately turned around and retracted his aura, as if he had completely ignored the other party's attack. He slowly walked toward the excited Heavenly Lord Yuanru. Although the sisters felt goosebumps on their scalps, they still followed Chun Hao's act of pretentiousness. As for the act of pretentiousness, they also retracted their aura, turned around, and followed Chun Hao. Boom! Chi! Chi! Rumble! The intense energy explosion and the brilliant sword light intertwined together, and then everything became quiet. When the dust settled, Bailey Ningbing stood proudly, while the #1 expert of the other side who wanted to fight with Chun Hao was nowhere to be seen. You can't even beat her. How dare you challenge me? Idiot. Bailey Ningbing was enjoying the crowd's shocked gazes like a proud peacock. However, Chun Hao's soft and calm voice made her feel like an idiot. In fact, she was indeed an idiot. An idiot who was twisted by hatred and wanted to show off. Unfortunately, she didn't realize it at all. Just like this time, the only thing she realized was that her eagerness to show off was destroyed by Chun Hao's pretentious words. Oomph. Just because 2 genius disciples won. Ha! I only know that you've lost. It doesn't change the fact that you're all trash. You've lost. You've lost. Heavenly Lord Yuanru's words made Heavenly Lord True Spirit so angry that his face turned red. He couldn't say anything else and left in a huff. He really couldn't afford to lose face like this, especially when he saw the crowd's gazes. He wanted to slap his face, but he was the one who got slapped. How could he not be frustrated? Moreover, Heavenly Lord Yuanru only said 3 words, "You've lost." He was afraid that he would go crazy if he continued to speak. Amazing. Chun Hao really lives up to his name. Oh, that Bailey Ningbing is also surprisingly strong. She's improved a lot compared to when she was in the arena. That's right, that's right. Everyone said that the Wuji star has declined. I didn't expect 2 true geniuses to appear here. Is this what they mean by when things reach an extreme, they will move in the opposite direction? His luck must have come. Recently, it's been rumored that Heavenly Lord Yuanru is a top artifact refiner. He's only a heavenly immortal, but he's already comparable to the artifact refiners of the Daluo Golden Wonderland. Many exclamations and praises came from the crowd. Due to the appearance of Chun Hao and Bailey Ningbing, as well as the recent rumors about Heavenly Lord Yuanru, the Wuji star, which had been silent for many years, had become the subject of many people's idle chatter. However, such a situation was only limited to a certain level. The higher-ups who knew the big picture were a little surprised, but only a little. They didn't think that the Wuji planet, which was destined to be kicked out of the main planet, could do anything. The show is over. Why are these people still standing around? Senior brother, why don't we go somewhere else? Although Chun Hao wasn't afraid of being surrounded by onlookers, this kind of long period of time, especially after the show, made Chun Hao a little unhappy. Of course, they want to see your test. Junior brother, you and Bailey Ningbing, who's suddenly made amazing progress, are top geniuses even on the Asianing planet. Especially you, who's on par with Long E. They'll naturally be curious about your results. Do you see those old men in the distance? They're basically spies of some faction. They're stationed at the testing center, and they'll throw out an olive branch when they see a disciple they like, lest someone else beat them to it. So there's no point in going somewhere else. You'll still be watched. Just pretend they don't exist. Oh, Chun Hao responded and didn't say anything else. Chun Hao didn't care about Bailey Ningbing, who was glaring at him fiercely. Of course, this was only Chun Hao's superficial reaction. In fact, the strength that Bailey Ningbing had displayed today had surprised even him. That was because it wasn't as simple as the immortal sword intent. It seemed to contain a mysterious power. Moreover, Chun Hao's keen senses told him that Bailey Ningbing hadn't fully grasped this power yet. Otherwise, she'd be even stronger. However, Chun Hao was only a little surprised. He'd already found his own Tao, the true great Tao. So what if she had a powerful ultimate technique? He'd left the 3,000 great Tao untouched, let alone others. More than 10 minutes later, the disciples who died in battle arrived one after another through the transportation portal. They knew the result when they saw the expressions of Heavenly Venerate Yuanru, Chun Hao, Bailey Ningbing, and the sisters. In fact, when they died, the outcome of the battle had basically been decided. But after confirming their victory, they were still overjoyed and happy. It also gave them a sense of honor. Let's go. Follow me. After everyone had arrived, Heavenly Venerate Yuanru led them through the gates of the testing center. As for Heavenly Venerate True Spirit, he naturally entered through another gate after moving to another location. He didn't have the face to come back and embarrass himself. Needless to say, their overall results were definitely better but who cared about the overall results? In this world, the ones who truly attracted people's attention were always the top existences. Most of the time, even the second place would be completely overshadowed by the light of the first place. The strong were respected. That was how it was. The test is divided into 3 parts. I'm sure you all already know, so I won't say more. The results are very important, but I hope you don't think about the results right now. Don't give yourself too much pressure. This is only your first test. There's still a year's time. If you're willing, you can come and take the test at any time. It'll only cost you 10 immortal origin crystals. Just stay calm. That's the only way you'll be able to perform normally or even perform excessively. This is especially true for comprehension. Heavenly Venerate Yuanru led everyone to a spacious hall. He stopped and lectured them again. All right, you all can go and line up. I'll wait here for the results. The first test for newcomers who had arrived on the Ying planet with their real bodies was conducted by the planet they belonged to, and it was free. Although Heavenly Venerate Yuanru had made it sound easy, he had only done so to calm everyone down. In fact, the importance of the first test was far greater than that of the self-test. It didn't mean that the results of the second test were fake, but that the first test was a better indicator of a person's potential. It was more valuable as a reference. After all, the disciples who had arrived on the Ying planet for the first time had yet to enjoy the Ying planet's unique cultivation environment. The results of the first test were naturally more indicative of their talent. This was like a slum. An expert who had cultivated on his own, without any support, was fighting against an expert who had been nurtured with the support of powerful resources. Although both of them were equal in terms of combat power and realm, what about their potential for development? There was no doubt that the slum's potential was higher. It was definitely a hall. The disciples of the Wuji planet, including Chun Hao, were actually country bumpkins. When they entered the hall, they were shocked by how big it was. They couldn't see the end of the hall. Chun Hao could only rely on his perception to determine that the hall was 100 kilometers wide and 4,999 kilometers long. It was nearly 10,000 kilometers wide. The hall was filled with countless cultivators, including those in the creation realm. However, their auras were very strong. Obviously, the so-called creation realm cultivators on the Wuji planet were no match for them. Most of them were human immortals and earth immortals. There were fewer heavenly immortals. As for Daluo Jinxian, Chun Hao couldn't sense him. Even if he did, he would hide his aura. Otherwise, he would definitely attract a crowd. There were 3,000 doors on the inside of the hall. The 1,000th door on the far left was the first test, the innate combat skill testing tower. Each door corresponded to a testing tower. Each tower would adjust itself to the corresponding cultivation level according to the cultivator's cultivation level. It only tested one's combat talent. It was just like the limits of the arena. The 1,000th door in the middle was the second test, the soul and mind testing C. This test was not differentiated by cultivation level. Everyone, including heavenly immortals, would be tested the same. The 1,000th door on the right was the last test, the comprehension test. There was no fixed pattern to the test of comprehension, and it was ever-changing. It could be trapping you in a formation and giving you the general outline of the formation to see if you could break it, how long it would take you to break it, or how many levels you could break through in a set amount of time. It could also be that when you were faced with a mysterious attack, it would appear again and again to see how many times you could comprehend the mystery of the attack and break it, and so on. There were many people who could guess the general idea, but they could never see the specific content of the test. Moreover, it was said that for so many years, no one's comprehension test was the same. In the beginning, there were people who questioned the fairness of such a test. However, as time passed, there was basically no deviation from the test results of some people. There were occasional anomalies, but this was normal. After all, it was normal for some people to improve their comprehension test due to their fortuitous encounters. The innate combat skill tower has a total of 1,000 levels. Till now, no matter what cultivation level, no one has passed it. Most people in the true realm can reach around 200 levels. An earth immortal disguised as a human immortal can reach 300 levels. A heavenly immortal disguised as a human immortal can reach 400 levels. In the true realm, those who can reach 300 levels belong to the ranks of those with better talent. Those who reach 400 levels are considered geniuses. Those who reach 500 levels, congratulations. You're definitely the top genius of the Asianing planet. Those who reach 600 levels are definitely the top geniuses of the vast universe galaxy and our human race. Junior sister, your talent is not bad. It's very possible for you to reach 400 levels. Oh, I'll try my best. Senior brother, don't expect too much from me. I don't want to disappoint you. Chun Hao and the beautiful sisters chose a door and lined up. In front of them was a man and a woman who were obviously in love. They were talking about the situation of the innate combat skill tower. More than 15,000 words. I'm exploding. Please support me. To be continued. If you like this work, you're welcome to vote for it at Chidian. Come. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 555. Once a cultivator completed the test, the other would enter. After the test, the name, planet, power, and individual test results would be directly displayed on the screen above the door. After seeing a few people come out in succession, Chun Hao roughly estimated that the time taken to enter the 200th floor was about 10 minutes, and the time taken to enter the 300th floor was about 15 minutes. In other words, the time taken to enter the 100th level was about 1 minute or so. Chun Hao was not surprised by this. That was because the information provided by the station already had detailed records. The so-called 1000th level of the Tower of Talents and Combat Skills was just a way to divide the results. The highest score was 1000. In fact, there were a total of 10 levels in the Tower of Talents. On every level, the test taker would withstand 100 attacks that gradually increased in strength. If they could withstand all of them, they would enter the next level and continue to challenge. If they could not withstand all of them, the record would be based on the number of attacks they had withstood. We still have to wait for about 2 hours before it's our turn. There are too many cultivators here for the test. Haha, junior sister, this is still limited. This is your first test, so it's free. But if you want to test in the future, you will have to pay for it. According to the time in the second world, you can only participate once a month. Even so, you still have no free time. The reason is very simple. These 3 tests are equivalent to the best cultivation grounds, and they are all comprehensive. Of course, you also need to have enough wealth. 10 immortal origin crystals each time is not a lot, but normal people can't afford to take the test continuously. Oh, no wonder there are so many people. Yeah, why are there so many people surrounding us? Huh? The couple in love realized that a large number of cultivators were flocking towards them, but they were not queuing up to take the test. They were all standing around in groups of 3 to 5, discussing and looking at them from time to time. Junior sister, you're so beautiful. You actually attracted their attention. How so? Maybe they're just looking at you. Senior brother, you're so handsome. The girl blushed, but she was full of smiles. Pooh, please don't disgust me, okay? Didn't you hear what they were talking about? You should at least turn around and take a look. Beautiful and handsome. If I were you too, I would just kill myself. So disgusting. Just at this moment, an expert at the peak of the late stage of the Earth's celestial stage in front of them couldn't bear it any longer. F***CK. I'm already a bit irritated by their lovey-dovey conversation. If you two want to be intimate, at least use soundless communication. Even if you don't use soundless communication, you two are really handsome and beautiful, okay? At least don't make people feel disgusted. Even if you guys aren't, don't spread your feathers like a peacock spreading its tail, thinking that everyone is watching you guys and even saying it out loud. This really makes people want to vomit, especially when they see the extraordinarily handsome guy and the 2 charming and beautiful girls behind the 2 of them. It's even more unbearable. In fact, the 2 of them were considered very ugly, but people were afraid of comparison. Standing in front of Chun Hao and the beautiful sisters, they were not even worthy of being the green leaves of a red flower. How could they not be disgusted? Many people around them burst into laughter when they heard the experts in front of them scolding them. The man and the woman first looked at the expert angrily. then turned around and looked behind them. They seemed to be carefully and unconvinced. Just when everyone thought that the two of them would feel a little inferior, they unexpectedly looked at each other and smiled. The man whispered to the woman, "They don't know how to appreciate, yes." "Ignore them," the woman said. Not only were the surrounding people dumbfounded, but even Chun Hao and the beautiful sisters couldn't help but sigh. This man and woman are the best. Maybe they should be comparable to the best couple, Gao Zhuang, and by Xiaomei. Long Yi? Isn't that Long Yi? He's also here. It seems that he's here to look for Chun Hao, right? Not long after, a figure walked slowly from afar. It seemed slow, but it was actually very fast. The moment it appeared, it became the focus of countless people's attention. Long Yi still had a faint smile on his face. His eyes were clear, calm, and deep. He locked on to Chun Hao from afar and walked over. "Brother Long, don't tell me you're also here to look at my results?" "Huh? Brother Chun, I heard that you just arrived at Golden Light City. I wanted to visit you for a long time, but I was afraid that it would affect your test, so I waited until now. You can say that I'm here to look at your test. When it's over, let's get together." Long Yi smiled. "Sure. These two are—" Long Yi looked at the beautiful sisters who were close to Chun Hao and nodded slightly. "Brother Chun, why don't you introduce them?" "Lungming Huan, Lungming Lu, my cultivation partners." "Huan Lu, you should have heard of this Long Yi. He's known as the Invincible Immortal. He's the one who stopped my 1-0-0-0-1 winning streak." "Hello, Brother Long." The beautiful sisters greeted him obediently. Their enchanting and beautiful faces looked very calm. Other than that, there were no other emotions. This made Long Yi feel a little strange. After all, any young disciple would more or less show admiration when they saw him. However, these two women were just showing the most basic courtesy. However, Long Yi came to an understanding right after that. They had Chun Hao by their side. Not to mention that beauty was in the eye of the beholder. Just based on Chun Hao's natural talent and strength, there seemed to be no one that could make them envious, let alone worship him. "Okay." Long Yi smiled slightly and looked at Chun Hao. "Brother Chun, last time when we fought, you said you were at the later stage of the human celestial stage. Now you're at the peak of the later stage of the human celestial stage. This speed is really fast. I'm looking forward to your first test results. If your 3 test results are above 550 points, I'll tell you a piece of good news. You'll definitely be interested. If you can't, then there's nothing I can do." "Okay, I won't disturb you. I'll wait for your results," Long Yi said mysteriously. After that, he went to a distance and sat down cross-legged. Chun Hao shook his head slightly. Although he was curious about the good news, he didn't ask much. Was 550 points so easy to achieve? No matter which of the 3 tests, if one could get 500 points, he could be called a top genius on the Yang planet. This was not even the first test, let alone getting 550 points in all 3 tests. Although Chun Hao was confident, he hadn't taken the test yet. He wasn't sure how many points he could get. "No way. She got 410 points? Damn, you really can't judge a book by its cover." After the test was over, he didn't leave. Instead, he waited nearby. He wanted to see what kind of results Chun Hao, who had recently become famous in the Yang planet, could get. At this time, he was surprised to see that the woman had gotten 410 points, which was dozens of points higher than him. This woman was only in the first test. She was definitely a genius. The man who followed her got even higher, 420 points. However, he wasn't in the first test. Relatively speaking, he wasn't as surprising as the woman. After the two of them finished their test, they saw that the crowd, who had been laughing at them a moment ago, were now shocked. They raised their heads proudly and almost looked down their noses at them, especially when they looked at Chun Hao and the sisters. It had to be said that although Chun Hao and the beautiful sisters didn't care, they had become fools. It seemed that the crowd's mockery had been directed at them. It was obvious that they wanted to see the results of Chun Hao and the beautiful sisters. They were full of provocation. It was as if they were saying, "You can't compare to us, be it in terms of looks or talent." "Brother Hao, sister, I'm going in first." Lung Ningle's figure flashed. and she quickly walked through the test door in front of her. When Lung Ningle went in for 15 minutes, everyone was calm and collected. The two top quality items also didn't care. However, when she didn't come out after 20 minutes, many people were slightly surprised. The two top quality items also frowned slightly, and their expressions became a little ugly. Chapter 556. If Brother Chun isn't in the preliminary test, he should be able to get between 590 and 600 points with his fake cultivation level of the initial stage of the human celestial stage. I just don't know how good his combat skills are, but he should be able to get more than 550 points. After all, his combat skills and talent haven't changed much. Long, he thought to himself as he stared at the door with bright eyes. Chun Hao had already started the test. If everyone thinks Brother Hao can't break the 600 mark, then he can definitely do it. What do you think, sister? Of course, Lung Ning Huan said with a smile. In the hearts of the sisters, Chun Hao had always been the creator of miracles. Anyone who came into contact with him would only be shocked, not disappointed. Over the years, this had been proven countless times. Therefore, even though the sisters knew that it would be difficult to break the 600 mark, they firmly believed that Chun Hao would definitely do it. 25 minutes, 500 points shouldn't be a problem. 27 minutes, around 560 points. 28 minutes, as time passed by, the cultivators who were watching the battle began to feel nervous. There was no doubt that they were witnessing the birth of a new star on the Asianing planet. No way. 30 minutes? This could be 600 points? When Chun Hao was at the 28th minute, the onlookers at the neighboring test site, which was more than 10 miles away, exclaimed in surprise as well. Their reaction was even more exaggerated than Chun Hao's. That was because someone had lasted 30 minutes. Swoosh! At that moment, a white light flashed and Bailey Ningbing appeared in front of everyone. 599 points. That's amazing. The test site was not far away, so the commotion caused by Bailey Ningbing attracted everyone's attention. Everyone was shocked to know that most of the people here came for Chun Hao. But right now, Bailey Ningbing, who was the first to complete the first test, displayed a terrifying talent. 599 points. How did she suddenly become so strong? The sisters were also shocked. The two of them naturally knew of Bailey Ningbing's hostility towards them, especially towards Chun Hao. He just couldn't be bothered with it. They didn't want Chun Hao to have anything to do with Bailey Ningbing. Even if they hated it, they didn't want to. After all, it was very easy to switch between love and hate, especially between young men and women. It probably has something to do with the epiphany she obtained from the chaotic space in the Silver Wing. Even so, he shouldn't be so strong. Sister, I feel that she must have cultivated some powerful secret technique. When she was fighting with Hongtao Planet just now, her performance was not much worse than Brother Hao's. I have a feeling that this woman will fight Brother Hao one day. She seems to be endlessly hostile. Yes, there was no need to care so much. Brother Hao knows better than we do. 29 minutes. Amazing. Chun Hao from the Wuji Star is already shocking enough. And now there's a Bailey Ningbing. Even if Chun Hao can't reach 599, he won't be too bad. That's awesome. Whoosh! At this time, Bailey Ningbing also arrived in front of Emperor Yuanru as fast as lightning, reporting the results. But in reality, it depended on Chun Hao's results. After all, Emperor Yuanru was watching Chun Hao from near the door. 600 points, you definitely can't reach it. At most, you'll be the same as me. That move is very strong. Bailey Ningbing stared at the door and thought to herself. She had personally experienced the 600th move, which was also the checkpoint move. Although she knew that Chun Hao was very strong, she didn't think that he could break through the 600th move. 29 minutes and 55 seconds. Amazing, amazing. Still not coming out? No way. Still not coming out? It should be within the margin of error. He'll be out soon. I don't believe he can pass 600. As they spoke, Chun Hao had already started the test for more than 30 minutes. But everyone thought that Chun Hao would come out in a few seconds at most, and these few seconds were definitely within the margin of error. But Chun Hao actually, he still hadn't come out after 30 minutes and 30 seconds. At this moment, everyone obediently shut their mouths and widened their eyes in horror. Long Yi, Bailey Ningbing, Empyrean Yuanru, and so on were no exception. It was understandable that the margin of error was within a few seconds. But a margin of error of 30 seconds had never happened before. This meant that Chun Hao had already broken through the 600th move. 31 minutes, 32 minutes, 34 minutes, 34 minutes, and 30 seconds. As the time approached 35 minutes, countless people nervously held their breaths. There was no doubt that the Ying planet would once again give birth to a freak who could be called a top genius in terms of combat talent in the vast universe galaxy. Of course, this was only in terms of combat talent. Whether or not he was a real top genius would depend on Chun Hao's next two tests. Whoosh! When the 35th minute was full, a white light finally shone from the door, and Chun Hao's figure appeared before everyone's eyes. Ding! Accompanied by the crisp sound of the result, a blinding number appeared on the screen above the door. 799. 799. How could it be 799? Countless people thought they were hallucinating and couldn't help but rub their eyes. But the number displayed was indeed 799. How is this possible? Is there something wrong with the testing tower? It was 35 minutes. At most, it should be 700, right? How could it be 799? Chun Hao heaved a long sigh amidst the doubts of countless people. His handsome face was extremely calm, as if he was not the least bit moved by his heaven-defying result. Junior brother, what's going on? Empyrean Yuanru's figure swayed as he asked in surprise and confusion. How could it be 799 in 35 minutes? Empyrean Yuanru's question was what everyone was thinking. The questioning voices suddenly stopped. Everyone pricked up their ears and stared blankly at Chun Hao. At this moment, Chun Hao scratched his head and said in a low voice, I'm a little faster at dissecting moves. Senior brother, there are still 2 more tests. We'll go and line up first. He seemed to be a little reserved, like a little boy. After saying that, he directly pulled the sisters and transformed into a streak of light, heading toward the second test point in the middle zone. The onlookers were dumbfounded. He was a bit faster in breaking down moves. In all these years, there were indeed people who were faster in breaking down moves, but they had never been faster than 100 moves. What kind of monster was this? Countless people exclaimed in disbelief and disbelief. Let's go. Let's watch him take the second test. Damn it. How strong must he be to do that? Whoosh. In an instant, countless cultivators, except for those who were still lining up to take the test, disappeared in an instant. Some of the disciples who were going to take the test even left the line. Anyway, they had already paid the fee, so it was no big deal to take the test later. Chun Hao's results in the first test seemed to have grown wings. In the second world, where communication was advanced, it spread at an astonishing speed. For a time, countless people exclaimed in shock and disbelief. Some of the top figures of the top forces immediately set off at this moment, while those who couldn't made it directly issued orders. Regardless of the results in the next 2 tests, snatch our sect at all costs. Satisfy any of his requests. All kinds of decisions were made in an instant by the leaders of the major forces. Some of the weaker forces had no choice but to give up. This was not a genius they could keep. Not to mention Chun Hao. Even Bailey Ningbing couldn't keep him. Strictly speaking, if it weren't for Chun Hao's heaven-defying performance, Bailey Ningbing would have been able to shake the entire upper echelon and become a target that everyone would fight over at all costs. Unfortunately, she was born at the wrong time, 799 points, and he had completed it in only 35 minutes. This result was simply too shocking and heaven-defying. Not to mention the Yang planet. Even in the entire vast universe galaxy, there were only a few people who could achieve such a result in the first test in 1,000 years. One could count them with one hand. This was only the first test. If the results in the next 2 tests were good, the top forces in the vast universe galaxy would definitely make a move. In the station, The true body of Heavenly Lord Yuanru laughed unscrupulously and crazily. Sparkling and translucent tears appeared in his old eyes. Master, even if you don't succeed, you must come back alive. Our Wuji planet is saved. We are saved. Jun, your martial brother, you're stronger than we imagined. Much stronger. Much, much stronger. Master, you must come back alive. Tears streamed down Heavenly Lord Yuanru's face as he knelt in front of his master's empty seat. How many years had it been? He had never been so happy before. He had spent all his energy on the Wuji planet. He was treading on thin ice all the time, afraid that he would wake up one day and find that the Wuji planet had become someone else's slave planet. Similarly, he, who was highly regarded by his master, had seen his master sigh dejectedly countless times. Although his master didn't say it, he knew that his master regretted his decision back then. But was this his master's fault? No. If he were in his master's shoes, even Heavenly Lord Yuanru himself would have made the same decision. Which cultivator didn't want to break through to a higher realm? The fact that his master had been protecting the Wuji planet all this time was already something that countless top experts didn't do, couldn't do, and disdained to do. He had sacrificed so much for the Wuji planet. What more could he want? At this moment, although the results of the last two tests were not out yet, Heavenly Lord Yuanru was sure that his junior brother would become the new backer of the Wuji planet. The second test was the test of the state of mind and soul. Junior brother was definitely very strong. The third test was comprehension. How could junior brother be weak? He was able to modify the silver wing to a height that even Daluo Jinxian couldn't achieve when he was only in the human celestial stage. How could his comprehension be weak? Junior brother had borrowed his own power, but the real strength was in the runes. To be able to comprehend such powerful runes, how strong could his comprehension be? Second update. Continue to explode. Please subscribe. Please vote. To be continued. If you like this work, you're welcome to come Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 557. The second test was the soul heart testing C. After choosing a testing area and lining up, Chun Hao stood tall as more and more people gathered around him, his expression calm. Although Chun Hao had expected this, it still surpassed his expectations. After all, he didn't think that he would be able to obtain a freakishly high score of 799 in the first test. In this test, what Chun Hao needed to do was to give it his all. Empyrean Primal Origin had already clearly emphasized the importance of the first test. Chun Hao had no reason to be low-key at this time, nor did he have any reason to deliberately lower his score. What he needed to be low-key was something that far surpassed his own boundary, something that came from his identity as a transmigrator, as well as the ancient spirit treasures in his mind and other strange abilities. This test was a time for him to use his own strength to prove himself. The mysteries of the first test have already surpassed my expectations. This is truly an excellent training area. This second test of the soul heart testing, C, won't be too bad. I wonder how many points I'll be able to obtain. But no matter what, even if it's for cultivation, I will still give it my all. I don't care if you are shocked or not. When it's time to be high-key, I have to be high-key. Chun Hao thought to himself. Towards this world, Chun Hao already had a clear understanding of it. There is nothing wrong with keeping a low profile and hiding one's true strength. After all, doing this could avoid a great deal of trouble. At the right time, one could pretend to be a pig to eat a tiger and escape from some true dangers. But to keep a low profile, especially in a test like this where the entire vast universe galaxy was unified, one absolutely couldn't keep a low profile. In this world where the strong were revered, keeping a low profile at this time was pure stupidity. Not only would it cause one to miss the chance to become famous and win destiny, but it would also cause one to miss the chance to reach a higher level. No one would hold back their strength at this time. He's here, he's here. It's finally Chun Hao's turn. That's Bailey Ning Bing. As Lung Ning Lu was the first to step into the testing area, the restless crowd finally saw the light of dawn. At the same time, Bailey Ning Bing, who was still in line behind Chun Hao, also proudly stepped in. The soul heart test, I will definitely win. My ultimate skill has already merged my soul with the concept of immortality, making my soul immortal and indestructible. My mental state is as firm as a boulder, and I definitely won't be defeated easily. I can do it. The stifled Bailey Ningbing took a deep breath and stepped into the raging waves. She had lost the first match by a huge margin, but she was not discouraged. Instead, her fighting spirit was even higher. There were still 2 more tests, right? She was confident. Compared to the first test, the relationship between time and mental state testing C was much clearer. This was because all human immortals, earthly immortals, and heaven immortals would face the same pressure and illusions after entering the place. As time went by, the pressure and illusions would become stronger. To put it simply, the longer one persisted, the higher the result would be. 5 minutes was 100 points, and it was very accurate. There was no error. However, although the soul state test did not differentiate between realms and treated everyone equally, there was not much difference between the results of the human immortal and heaven immortal tests. This was because it didn't test the strength of one's soul or the realm of one's soul. Instead, it tested the endurance of one's soul. This was related to the cultivator's soul talent and potential. It was the most fundamental thing. For example, the sisters' soul realm and soul power were both human immortals. However, their results now would not be much different from when they were earthly immortals or heavenly immortals, unless they had a shocking encounter that caused their soul to mutate. That was an exception. When Lung Ning Lu was about to reach 25 minutes, her consciousness was suddenly blasted away by a surge of pressure. Her score was 499 points. After that, Lung Ning Huan entered. At this time, everyone's attention was focused on the door that Bailey Ningbing had entered. It had to be said that although Chun Hao was a gem, he could not completely overshadow Bailey Ningbing's brilliance. In fact, if not for Chun Hao's heaven-defying results, Bailey Ningbing would definitely be the most dazzling person in the Ing City Alliance Test Center in the past 100 years. 500 points. That's amazing. Bailey Ningbing's soul endurance and mental state are so strong as well. It might not be any worse than her innate battle technique. Yeah, I wonder how much longer she can last. As the 30 minutes approached, everyone was more and more amazed. The results of the soul and mental state test C were harder to obtain than the innate battle technique test tower. This was especially true for beginners who were only human immortals. Finally, at the 30-minute mark, Bailey Ningbing came out. She did not escape the 600 mark. Her score was 599 points again. Damn it. Why is it him? Why? I shouldn't have lost. I shouldn't have. Inner demon, inner demon. The moment Bailey Ningbing came out, she completely ignored the praises and cheers around her. Her brows were tightly furrowed, and her expression was ugly. Her eyes were filled with hostility as she looked at Chen Hao. This scene was seen by everyone as Bailey Ningbing's provocation to Chen Hao. It also made everyone understand that the 2 geniuses of planet Wuji were not on good terms with each other. However, only Bailey Ningbing knew that she had lost to Chen Hao. At the 30-minute mark, the person who appeared in her illusion was Chen Hao. This caused her to lose her composure. She was bedeviled and lost. This woman is really sick. Unfortunately, Chen Hao was also paying attention to Bailey Ningbing, so they looked at each other directly. Chen Hao finally could not help but curse in his heart. Chen Hao really did not have any good feelings towards this woman who had an enchanting appearance and was as beautiful as the sisters. To put it irresponsibly, this kind of woman could at most be a tool for him to vent his anger in his previous life. As for this life, Chen Hao did not even spare her a glance, because what Chen Hao saw was the essence that he hated. Moreover, although some things did not have a clear answer, it did not mean that it could be hidden from everyone. Chen Hao and Heavenly Lord Yuanru both knew it. However, due to someone's status, influence, and power on planet Wuji, they could not act for the time being. It was not suitable for planet Wuji, which was in imminent danger. Of course, The most important reason was that the other party's little tricks did not cause the desired consequences. Similarly, they were forced to make this decision under the threat of Bailey Ning Bing's life and death situation. If not for this, they would have completely removed the tumor, even if it hurt them. You want to compete with me? Watch how I beat your face into a pig's head. Chen Hao's eyes flashed with strong disdain as he turned around coldly. Then, Lung Ninghuan, who was infinitely close to Lung Ningle in all aspects, also stopped at 499 points. Chen Hao finally appeared. At this moment, Heavenly Lord Yuanru clenched his fists tightly. At this moment, Long Yi took a deep breath, his eyes blazing. At this moment, several big shots from the top forces of planet Ying, who were hidden in the crowd, narrowed their eyes. At this moment, Bailey Ning Bing pursed her lips tightly, her eyes flashing with unconcealable nervousness and deep hostility. At this moment, everyone started counting down. Chen Hao, who had just stepped into the second world, had won 10,000 consecutive victories in the arena and tied with the invincible celestial dragon Yi. In the first round of the assessment, he had obtained a heaven-defying result that could be called a top genius in vast universe galaxy. Just these two things alone allowed Chen Hao to rise to a height that 99.9% of people didn't even have the qualifications to envy him. They could only look up to him. It was because of this that these people no longer had any hostility towards him. They only hoped that they could witness the birth of a genius that would shock the entire vast universe galaxy. There was no doubt that such a genius was extremely precious to planet Ying. This was a sense of belonging. As people of planet Ying, the stronger planet Ying was, the more glory they would feel. As time passed, everyone became more and more nervous. Would Chen Hao be able to obtain another heaven-defying result in the second round? Everyone was looking forward to it. 30 minutes. 1 second. 2 seconds. Whoosh. When the 30 minutes passed 2 seconds, the crowd exploded. There was no doubt that he had broken through the 600-point checkpoint. Heavenly Lord Yuanru trembled with excitement. Long, he also trembled as he took a deep breath. As for Bailey Ningbing, she bit her lip so hard that it bled. In the second round, Chen Hao, who was at the human immortal stage, had obtained more than 600 points in the first round, and the time was still ticking down. Whether or not he could surpass his 799 points in the first round, it was enough to show disdain for all the geniuses of planet Ying for the past 1,000 years. Would he be able to surpass 700 points and be as heaven-defying as he was in the first round? No one knew the outcome, but in everyone's opinion, Chen Hao could not be as heaven-defying in this round. After all, although this round had little to do with one's realm, it was still somewhat related. 600 points allowed one to show disdain for all the geniuses of planet Ying for the past 1,000 years. 700 points allowed one to show disdain for vast universe galaxy for the next 1,000 years. Even in the past 10,000 years, the number of cultivators in vast universe galaxy who had obtained more than 700 points in the second round of the preliminary test could be counted on one hand. With the first round's heaven-defying result, it was unlikely that he would be heaven-defying in all aspects, unfortunately. Since Chen Hao's debut, the stronger the opponent, the stronger he became. He had always given people the impression that there was no greatest shock, only greater shock. Would Chen Hao be able to make everyone witness another miracle today? Phew, I'm so nervous. It's been 34 minutes, 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. When the 35th minute was almost up, someone among the extremely nervous and expectant crowd took the lead to start the countdown. Immediately, countless onlookers joined in the chanting and counting. 50 seconds, 51 seconds, 60 seconds, 35 minutes. At this moment, everyone stopped, and the place became abnormally quiet. Could he pass? Could he pass 700 points? If he passed, phew, it's only 700 points. It's far from my limit. Get lost, all of you. Boom, boom, boom. In the sea of his soul, Chen Hao was still in the mood to calculate his own time in the face of the terrifying pressure and all kinds of strange and powerful illusions. Moreover, he had passed the 700-point mark. If the onlookers outside knew about this, they would be so shocked that their jaws would drop to the ground. Third update. Eat in Wushan first. After eating, continue to fight. Please vote. Please subscribe. Many thanks. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 558. Break. Chi. Destruction. Indestructible. Ethereal. All sorts of sword intents alternated as they emanated from Chunhao's body. Faced with the mountainous and ocean-like pressure and all sorts of powerful illusions, Chunhao's handsome face became even colder and his eyes became even more resolute. What was this little bit of pain? Even though the pain right now had already surpassed the soul fusion and the life and death battle with Dongfang Han by countless times, Chunhao's heart was like a boulder and he was fearless. The madness he displayed was even more unimaginable to ordinary people. This time, I want to know the true limits of my soul and heart. There is no place more suitable than here. Whether it was the soul fusion or the great battle with Dongfang Han, the pain Chunhao endured had exceeded the limits he had ever experienced, but had never exceeded his limits. Even Chunhao himself didn't know the limits of his soul and state of mind, because this was impossible to estimate. In the past, he could only make further guesses based on the pain he had experienced. But this time was different, because this was the second world. He could let go of all psychological barriers, and he did not have to worry about his soul being destroyed. What did Chunhao have to fear? 799. Come. Rumble. An explosion exploded in Chunhao's mind. At this moment, all the pain disappeared from Chunhao's senses. Brother Hao, 799 points, is already very high. The beautiful sisters smiled sweetly, their charming faces filled with adoration and adoration as they leaned towards Chunhao. Countless cultivators shouted Chunhao's name. Long, he looked at Chunhao with burning eyes. Heavenly Venerable Yuanru was so excited that his face turned red, and the person Chunhao wanted to slap in the face, Bailey Ningbing, looked at Chunhao in a daze. Then she was so angry that she spurted blood. The aura, the scene, the characters, and so on, everything was incomparably real. Chunhao's dissatisfied face gradually revealed a smug look. There were no flaws. There were no flaws at all. It's only 799 points. What's there to be proud of? I originally thought that I could at least get 899. Looks like I still overestimated the endurance of my soul. I don't even know how I lost at 800. Phew! Chunhao heaved a long sigh of relief. His slightly proud mood instantly became tranquil. At this moment, Chunhao suddenly realized something. Wait, Brother Hao, I hate you. Why aren't we the ones you love? No one can ignore me. I want you to die. Your talent is actually so strong that it makes me jealous. No, I will never allow anyone to be stronger than me. Chi. Rumble, rumble, rumble. In an instant, the sisters beside him, the furious Bailey Ningbing, Long Yi, the agitated Yuanru Tianzuan, and the surrounding cultivators who were shouting his name, all attacked Chunhao with incomparable ferocity. Boundless pressure, like the arrival of the end of the world, like the stars exploding, like the collapse of the universe. Chunhao felt that he was completely imprisoned, isolated by everyone and even the entire world. He no longer had feelings, no love, no worries, no people to protect, and lost his direction. Looking at all the attacks descending, all kinds of feelings of helplessness and even despair occupied his mind. Death, what was there to fear? It was nothing more than death. There was no meaning in living anymore. Then just die. Once dead, everything would be fine. Time seemed to have stopped at this moment. Chunhao, who didn't have any thoughts of resistance and couldn't resist, looked on helplessly as one attack after another came toward him at a terrifying speed. It seemed like everything was about to end. But, just as all the attacks were about to hit him, Chunhao's lips curled into a smile. Two resplendent rays of light shot out from his eyes of despair. Everything is just fleeting clouds. Bang! Like a bubble bursting, everyone disappeared without a trace. What replaced them was endless pressure, endless pain, and a wave of extremely violent soul attacks. A dash! Chun Hao roared crazily. It's over 800 in the outside world. After 40 minutes and 2 seconds had passed, everyone was no longer shocked. To be exact, they were numb. Whether it was over 700 or 800, it was an unimaginable number for them. But today, it was continuously broken by Chun Hao. At 8:05, Chun Hao stepped out of the soul state testing sea. There were no cheers, no shouts, only gazing at him in a daze. But to Chun Hao, all these were like illusions. Chun Hao completely ignored and didn't have the mood to pay attention to the illusions. Chun Hao knew that this was real, but he felt that it was more like an illusion. True and false, false and true. Chun Hao looked calm on the outside, but he still hadn't walked out of the illusions in his heart. It wasn't that he couldn't walk out, but that he didn't want to walk out. Go straight to the heart. These are all my inner demons. How can I get rid of them? Chun Hao asked himself, but he couldn't find the answer. Brother Hao, what's wrong? The two beautiful sisters felt that Chun Hao was different. They couldn't help but shake Chun Hao's arm and look up at him. Nothing. Let's go to the third test. After Chun Hao finished speaking, he pulled the two girls and looked at the test door deeply. Then, he turned around and left without looking back. No one knew that 803 points, which was even more heaven-defying than the first test, wasn't Chun Hao's real result. It could be said that Chun Hao hadn't reached his limit, but Chun Hao gave up on himself. He didn't want to continue. At least, when he couldn't get rid of his inner demons, he didn't want to rely on his rock-solid determination and perverse endurance to break through. If he hadn't found his own path, perhaps Chun Hao would have bravely moved forward without any hesitation. However, he had already found his own path, so he stopped moving forward because he wanted to truly deal with his inner demons and not break through by force. If he continued, then one day, this inner demon would become the greatest obstacle that obstructed his advancement. Huan Lele, how did you feel after coming out of the sea of tests? How do we feel? Nothing. My sister and I have a very simple thought. That is, we can't embarrass Brother Hao. Although we're still lacking compared to Brother Hao, we're much stronger than normal people. Lung Ning Lu said. What's wrong, Brother Hao? You seem to be in a bad mood. Lung Ning Huan asked. It's nothing. You two are so good, Chun Hao said seriously with a bright smile on his face. Naive, pure, and single-minded. Perhaps this was the true portrayal of the two beautiful sisters. Simple and pure feelings, pure and unblemished determination. This was the so-called fortune favors fools. Unfortunately, Chun Hao couldn't be a fool even if he wanted to. The fusion of two souls, two lives of his own determination, and two lives of his own experience gave him a perversely strong soul. It gave him intelligence that far surpassed normal people, but it also gave him a heart that was full of impurities. No matter what, he couldn't be as clean and transparent as the two beautiful sisters. Brother Hao, you're acting strange, the two beautiful sisters said. However, they were very happy. Chun Hao looked at the two of them and finally put away everything he had encountered in the sea of tests. He laughed exaggeratedly. Why should I think so far ahead? Why should I worry about my inner demons in the distant future? I only need to face everything in front of me and solve everything in front of me. I've already walked out of it. Do you still want to affect my state of mind? What I can't let go of now, what I can't solve, when I stand at high enough level, I'll naturally have a different view and a better way to solve it. The reason why it's like this is only because my soul's endurance is too perverted. The determination in my heart is too strong. That's why I can't achieve results that are beyond my normal range and see things that I should see at a higher level. It's good to prepare for a rainy day, but there's always a limit to everything. There must be limits. Under the pure and unblemished purity of the two beautiful sisters, a trace of understanding appeared in Chun Hao's mind. It wasn't until this moment that he truly thought it through and got rid of the influence of the sea of tests. For the third test of comprehension, Chun Hao went into battle with a light pack. Every test taker's time was fixed at 50 minutes. For this test, time couldn't determine the result at all. Only when the cultivator came out would the final result be known. Of course, if your comprehension was able to get 1,000 points, you might come out earlier. However, this kind of situation had never happened before, and it was unlikely that it would happen in the future. Of course, this referred to all the test takers, including Daluo Jingxian. After Chun Hao finished the test, he was forced to leave the second world directly. It couldn't be helped. There were too many experts surrounding him at once. The olive branches thrown at him were enough to crush Chun Hao to death. At the same time, Chun Hao was also tempted. He couldn't wait to accept the invitation immediately. However, Chun Hao knew very well that his target wasn't the forces on the Asianing planet. Therefore, he had to withstand the temptation. The best way was undoubtedly to decisively leave if he couldn't see or hear anything. Bailey Ningbing was also surrounded. Of course, they had also shown great talent. Because of their relationship with Chun Hao, the two beautiful sisters had also received olive branches from countless top forces. This was originally something that would make the two beautiful sisters very excited and happy. However, when they saw that the other party wanted them to persuade Chun Hao to join them, the two beautiful sisters could only shake their heads decisively. They couldn't do it, and they wouldn't do it. Beep, 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 beep. On this day, all of the great cities of the second world, including the most powerful planet in vast universe galaxy, the Alliance Testing Center, a shocking piece of news spread out, shocking the entire vast universe galaxy. This news caused the hearts of countless lonely peak geniuses in vast universe galaxy to race. Preliminary test, human celestial stage, 799 talent, combat strength, 805 soul state. Comprehension score as high as 906. Fourth update, more than 12,000 words. I've done my best since 5 a.m. Until now, I beg everyone to give me strength and fight with me. I beg for monthly votes and recommendation votes. Brothers and sisters, if you have the ability, please support and subscribe. Thank you. To be continued. If you like this work, please come to Chidian. Come to vote for recommendation votes and monthly votes. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 559. Xintian City on the Asianing planet was the largest city on the planet. It was also where the top clans and forces gathered. The Shiman clan, one of the 5 great clans on the planet, was located in Xintian City. Inside the Shiman clan, Luyan, what's going on with Feng? Sister-in-law, I really don't know. I can't find anything wrong with his body and soul. When he was attacked by the Zerg expert, I was protecting him with all my might. Even if I died, I wouldn't let Xiao Feng get hurt. That Zerg expert didn't even take Xiao Feng seriously. Could it be a dirty trick? For example, a method that we don't understand. Could it be the insect clan's venomous arts? Impossible. Father checked it himself. If it was venomous arts, he would have found something unusual. Although the insect clan is powerful, it's at most peak late-stage Daluo Jingxian. Father is one of the golden immortal kings of the human race. How could he not have found out? What should we do then? You've been back for a month, and he's still like this. If this continues, Shiman Luyun, who had reconstructed his body, had an extremely dim aura. Judging from his aura alone, it was certain that his strength was not even 20% of his peak. At this moment, he was discussing Shiman Feng's condition with a beautiful middle-aged woman who was also Shiman Feng's biological mother. Since returning from the chaotic space, Shiman Feng's eyes had been dull and lifeless, as if he had become a vegetable. Shiman Feng and the others had used various methods, but there was no sign of improvement. What was even stranger was that they could not find anything wrong with him. Master. At this moment, a figure mysteriously appeared in the room. It was Shiman Feng's heavenly immortal servant. At this moment, the old servant was still a primordial spirit. Clearly, it would take a long time to reconstruct his body. Most importantly, he did not have the natural treasures and wealth that Shiman Feng had. What is it? Chun Hao from the Wuji planet has just taken a test. Chun Hao? A test was a test. What was there to report? Get out. Shimin Luyan wanted to vomit blood when he heard the name Chun Hao. If it were not for the fact that he wanted to kill Chun Hao's talent in the cradle and give Wuji planet no hope, he would not have encountered the bug tribe. More importantly, they had thought they had successfully killed the Silver Wing. But when they returned, they received news that the Silver Wing from the Wuji planet had arrived at the Yang planet before them. Including Emperor Yuanru, everyone was safe and sound. When Shimin Luyan received this news, she simply did not dare to believe her ears. But this was the truth. Later on, he learned that everyone from the other 4 planets that were dispatched this time was finished. Only the essence souls of the experts in the heaven immortal realm escaped. Master, that Chun Hao. Can you Asterisk King not mention him? Chun Hao. Just as Shimin Luyan was angrily scolding the servant, Shimin Feng, who was lying on the bed motionlessly like an idiot, actually lightly spat out 2 words, Chun Hao. Ah, Xiao Feng, you're awake? I'm your mother. Xiao Feng. Shimin Luyan could not be bothered to scold him anymore. With a leap, she jumped in front of the bed. Chun Hao, dead. What made old mother Shimin Feng, Pan Chilian, Shimin Luyan, and Shimin Luyan's old servant dumbfounded was that Shimin Feng actually shed 2 lines of clear tears as he muttered intermittently. That pale, lifeless face was actually filled with despair, resentment, and sorrow. The 3 dumbfounded people, as long as they were not idiots, could sense Shimin Feng's strangeness at this moment. This strangeness made Shimin Luyan and Pan Chilian's hearts twitch. Shimin Luyan and Pan Chilian, who had always been the most concerned about Shimin Feng, naturally knew that Shimin Feng had some kind of hobby. This kind of hobby was actually a relatively common hobby in some large families. However, no one would talk about it openly. Of course, it was only a perverted hobby born from the long life of a cultivator. As long as one's sexual orientation was normal, it didn't matter. It was just playing around. Moreover, Shimin Feng had countless women. He had the style of not letting go of beauties when he saw one. It was also because of this reason that they did not take Shimin Feng's hobby to heart at all. But now, seeing Shimin Feng's eyes become dull and gloomy again, Shimin Luyan knew that she could not hesitate any longer. Chun Hao, how is Chun Hao? Speak. His voice was so loud that it could be said to be deafening. Master, Chun Hao, he's not dead. Not only is he alive and well, his results in this alliance test are extremely heaven-defying. The shrewd old servant directly responded to Shimin Feng's master's intentions. His voice was also very loud, and he also emphasized the 2 words Chun Hao. Chun Hao is not dead, and he even obtained heaven-defying results? How heaven-defying is Chun Hao? Shimin Luyan saw Shimin Feng's eyes widen. After having a strong reaction, he hurriedly increased the potency of the medicine. He didn't care about Chun Hao's results at all. All he wanted was for Shimin Feng to wake up. At least he had to wake up first. The results of the 3 segments of the test are respectively 799,805,906. Chun Hao's test results are 799,805,906. Chun Hao's results are very good. What did you say? Shimin Luyan originally just wanted to emphasize Chun Hao, but just as he repeated Chun Hao's results, his expression suddenly changed. He was so shocked that he almost screamed out loud. He glared fiercely at the old servant and asked, Bang! Not dead? Chun Hao is not dead? It was also at this moment that Shimin Feng suddenly slapped the bed and jumped off. His eyes sparkled with intense excitement as he grabbed the old servant's shoulder and asked, Not dead. Not only is he not dead, but he also obtained such heaven-defying results. Many of the top forces on the Asianing planet have extended an olive branch to him, trying to recruit him at all costs. However, he rejected all of them. The old servant said, Ha ha. Wild laughter suddenly erupted from Shimin Feng's mouth. Shimin Luyan and Pan Chilian stared at each other with black lines running down their faces. They were on the verge of crying. What kind of sin had they committed? On the same day, the 4 planets, the Black Rock planet, the Demonic Ant planet, the Dragon Snake planet, and the Pegasus planet, were extremely shocked and regretful after receiving Chun Hao's heaven-defying results. If they had known this would happen, why did they do it in the first place? But now, they could not compare with the Shiman family. After all, the patriarch of the Shiman family was a golden immortal king, an existence second only to the rulers of the 36 main planets in the vast universe galaxy. The so-called golden immortal king was also a Daluo Jinxian. There were thousands of Daluo Jinxian on the Asianing planet alone. Basically, all the vital planets in the Asianing planet's jurisdiction that ranked in the top 1,000 were overseen by a Daluo Jinxian. It was not strange for planets that ranked at the top to have 2 or even several golden immortals overseeing them. However, in the entire Asianing planet's jurisdiction, there were only a few dozen people who could be called golden immortal kings, which was the title king in the Daluo Golden Wonderland. Moreover, the patriarch of the Shiman family was the cream of the crop. With Chun Hao's heaven-defying potential, it was hard to say whether he could eventually grow to become the patriarch of the Shiman family. How could he be a threat to the Shiman family? But they could not. It could be said that they had no way out. No matter what, once Chun Hao grew up, he would not let them off just because of their assassination attempt this time. Of course, they could not do it openly, but they could not do anything if they had to resort to some means. Just like this time, they were forced to join forces with the Shiman family and were ordered to do so because they could not resist the Shiman family's strength. When the time came, they might end up 100 or 1,000 times worse than the Wuji planet. The reason was very simple. The Wuji planet was one of the 1,008 primary vital planets under the Asianing planet's jurisdiction. But what about them? She's nothing at all. Therefore, they had to find an opportunity to take action and carry out their plan to kill Chun Hao to the end. However, they had to be more discreet, and their plan had to be more thorough. They could not afford to expose anything that could be used against them. Otherwise, if they killed such a monstrous genius, they would not only suffer the revenge of the Wuji planet, but also the wrath of the upper echelons of the human race. Golden Light City, Asianing planet. It was just a small city on the Asianing planet, but today it suddenly became lively. Countless cultivators poured into the transmission center of the city's Alliance Chamber of Commerce. What was more surprising was that many rarely seen big shots had appeared, and all this was because of Chun Hao. Therefore, the most lively place was naturally the simple and crude station on the Wuji planet. The forces in Golden Light City, which were close to the Wuji planet, had originally been disdainful of the Wuji planet and had no friendly relations with them. But now, they came to visit one after another. These people were not here to win over Chun Hao. They knew their own limits. The reason they came here was to congratulate the Wuji planet for having a heaven-defying figure like Chun Hao and a top genius like Bailey Ningbing in the vast universe galaxy. Although the Wuji planet was still very weak at the moment, everyone could be sure of one thing. And that was that the Wuji planet would never become a slave planet. Not only that, as long as there were no accidents, its status would definitely be higher in the future. Visiting with gifts in advance was not an extravagant hope that they would treat you as one of their own, but at least they would not treat you as an enemy, right? It had to be said that the world of cultivators was no different from the secular world. Snobbish people were everywhere, and strength was everything. In the station, the cultivators on the Wuji planet were all enthusiastically busying themselves, but they did not feel tired at all. They all felt elated, especially when they saw some big shots who had never looked them in the eyes smiling and chatting with them. They were secretly delighted. Heavenly Lord Yuanru was undoubtedly the busiest, but he was also the happiest and most excited. As the main person involved, Chun Hao directly announced to the public that he had comprehended something during the test and immediately went into seclusion. No one was allowed to see him. The second most important person, Bailey Ningbing, did the same. Although there was a big gap between her results and Chun Hao's, there was no problem for her to become one of the top forces in the vast universe galaxy. First update. I can't guarantee 4 chapters today, but 3 chapters are a must. Thank you to Alliance Master Luo, Shi, for your red fluttering. Thank you to all the brothers and sisters for your tips. I won't list your names. Thank you to all the brothers and sisters who fought with Dark Mountain. Let's continue to fight. I'll explode, you vote. The monthly votes are great, from the 200s to 88s in just 2 days. Can we charge into the top 50 this month? There's still 11 days. I believe we can do it. Please, everyone, looking for monthly votes, recommendation votes. To be continued. If you like this work, you're welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 560. Hiss. With a flash of white light, Chunhao appeared in the Yang city of the second world. Identity change. Activate. Beep, beep, beep. Phew. Seeing the message prompt in his mind, Chunhao let out a long sigh of relief. After a slight hesitation, he clicked the confirm button. Immediately, hiss, hiss, hiss. Chunhao clearly felt that his body, aura, and stage had undergone an astonishing change in an instant. At the same time, he had a new name, but he almost spat it out. Chun Ri-Tian. Chun Ri-Tian. This system is too talented, isn't it? Chunhao's balls were crushed. When he obtained 10,000 victories in the arena, Chunhao once again activated the hidden condition of the arena. He had the attribute of hiding his identity in the arena of any city in the second world. He could also adjust his record at will and challenge the opponent he wanted to fight. After obtaining this hidden condition, Chunhao was still fighting for his life in the Silver Wing and had no time to try it out. This time, after entering the Yang city of the second world, Chunhao didn't want to be surrounded by onlookers because he had caused too much of a sensation. Therefore, he had the idea of trying to see if the function of hiding his identity could be activated outside the arena. He didn't expect to succeed so easily. Immediately, he understood. Since he could challenge in any city in the second world, he naturally had to hide his identity from the beginning. After all, there were clear records of his comings and goings between cities. Unfortunately, Chunhao couldn't set his name, appearance, and other information by himself. The system could only arrange it randomly. Beep, beep, beep. You have activated the wealth card of your identity. This wealth card is shared with your real wealth card. Beep, beep, beep. This identity's communication number is ********. Beep, beep, beep. Your real wealth card's communication number still exists. It won't affect your normal communication. Beep, beep, beep. With this identity, the Arena Challenge mission is activated. Mission time limit: 1 year in the second world. Challenge target: medium stage of a human celestial stage. Mission requirement: complete 1,000 victories within the mission time limit. Record requirement: winning rate of not less than 80%. If the mission fails, the serial hidden condition will end. Ahem. Chunhao, who was still immersed in the name, was dumbfounded. There's a mission? It was one thing to have a mission, but there was also a time limit and a win rate requirement? A series of hidden conditions? Chunhao was attracted by the last sentence. Originally, he was a little dissatisfied with this kind of forced mission, but now his mood was much better. Phew! Looks like this hidden condition isn't that simple. You have to put in a lot of effort to get something in return. So be it. Fuck. Waha. Chunhao, who had changed his identity, appearance, and aura, swaggered into the crowd. However, what made him frown slightly was that he still attracted the attention of many people. However, their expressions when they looked at him were a little strange. At first, Chunhao didn't care, but after a few minutes, an extremely ugly guy actually pointed at him and laughed loudly when he saw him. He seemed surprised and happy at the same time. Are you crazy? Chunhao couldn't help but say. Just as he finished speaking, Chunhao was slightly stunned. Damn, why was his voice so unpleasant to the ears? She had completely lost her magnetic beauty. What? Damn it, who dares to say that I'm the ugliest? Look, do you see? Wah! Scram! Chunhao was angry and directly pointed at the ugly guy's nose and scolded. Ha! Indeed. Looking at him, and then looking at you, I feel much better. Congratulations, you're now the second ugliest. I'm sorry. This brother of mine was too excited when he saw your appearance. I suggest that you don't come out so often. Huh? The cultivator beside ugly person, who looked extremely handsome in comparison to ugly person, said very mockingly. After he finished speaking, before Chun Hao could flip out, he directly pulled ugly person and left with a group of people while laughing loudly. Damn it, am I really that ugly? Chun Hao really wanted to use his primordial spirit to look at himself, but he restrained himself. Who cares? So what if I'm ugly? It's just a fake identity. So what if I'm ugly? Don't come out too often. I just have to come out too often to scare people. Ha! I wonder what Huan Huan and Lele will do if they see me. Knowing that Chen Shui and the others had gone on a mission and weren't in the second world for the time being, Chen Hao directly used the communication number of his true body to send a few messages. Then, he walked toward the arena. Before entering the second world, he had made an appointment with the beautiful sisters to meet at the arena. Huan Huan and Lele, the beautiful sisters who had just arrived at the entrance of the arena, were considered celebrities in the Yang city of the second world because of Chun Hao. However, compared to the billions and trillions of cultivators on the Yang planet, only a very small number had seen Chun Hao's true body, let alone the beautiful sisters. Of course, not seeing Chun Hao's true body didn't mean that they hadn't seen Chun Hao's image. After all, Chun Hao had caused too much of stir. Therefore, if Chun Hao appeared, he would indeed attract a lot of attention. But the beautiful sisters weren't so exaggerated. Even if some people saw them occasionally, they wouldn't come over to harass them because of their relationship with Chun Hao. This made the beautiful sisters feel a little more at ease. But at this moment, a low, muffled voice called their nickname intimately. When the beautiful sisters saw the appearance of the person who had come, they immediately cried out and took a few steps back. Oh, who are you? What do you want? Boom. The beautiful sisters were shocked by the earth-shattering ugliness of the other party, but they immediately calmed down. The aura around them suddenly soared, and they stood side by side, glaring at the ugly man. Huh. Chen Hao, no, it should be Chan Ritien, opened his bloody mouth, revealing a mouthful of yellow fangs, and chuckled. This was Chun Hao's signature smile. He didn't dare to say that he could charm thousands of girls, but at least his women liked it very much. But at this moment, Chun Hao was absolutely disgusting. He smiled and naturally stroked his coarse, yellow, curly hair, which looked like a burnt horse's mane, and said, Huan Huan Lele, don't be nervous. I'm the person closest to you. What nonsense are you talking about? Get lost. Otherwise, don't blame us for being rude. Humph. Lung Ningle said, glaring at the ugly man in front of her. Ha! Lele, you said it yourself. If I leave, you won't be able to wait for the person you're waiting for. Chun Hao said shamelessly. There was a trace of mockery in his eyes that completely distorted human nature. Unfortunately, this trace of mockery was naked teasing in the eyes of the beautiful sisters. However, the beautiful sisters didn't immediately flip out. Lung Ninghuan frowned and asked, What do you mean? What I mean is, I'm the person you're waiting for. Tui, sister, ignore this ugly man. He's crazy. Yes. Lung Ninghuan also glared fiercely at Chen Hao. She pulled her sister and turned to the side. Cough, cough. Huan Huan, Lele, are you really going to ignore me? Brother Hao, what are you talking about? Are you here yet? We met an ugly man, so disgusting. In the Wuji base, Chun Hao's cultivation room, the beautiful sisters sat cross-legged in the cultivation room, keeping a distance from Chun Hao. Just as they were about to enter the state of meditation, Chun Hao suddenly said, That ugly freak is me, your big brother, huh? Lung Ninghuan and Lung Ningle exclaimed at the same time when they heard Chun Hao's words. Don't be surprised. I've activated the hidden condition of the second world and can change my identity. However, I can't decide my name, appearance, and so on. After a brief moment of surprise, the beautiful sisters immediately burst out laughing. His real body lay down in the cultivation room and held his stomach as he laughed. In the second world, the beautiful sisters bent over laughing as they stared at the ugly man in front of them. The more they looked at him, the more they laughed. The laughter from both sides made Chun Hao frown. Don't laugh. If you laugh again, I'll use the ugly man to kiss you. Ha ha ha. Don't, brother How, don't. We're not afraid of you kissing us. Ha ha ha. We're afraid of tarnishing your real body's reputation. We're your real body's cultivation partners. Ha ha ha. The beautiful sister's words made Tian, who is threatening in the second world, stop. All right, you're good. Enter the state of cultivation. Hao said helplessly and closed his eyes. In the second world, the two beautiful sisters walked in front, while Hao followed behind. Mother asterisk her, this was a must. The two beautiful sisters were already famous, and many people knew that they were Hao's Tao companions. If they were too intimate with an ugly person like him, wouldn't that be a problem? Even if he knew it was him, in the hearts of countless people, he would have to wear a tall, big, and dazzling green hat with his real body. If he walked his own path and let others talk about it, that would be nonsense. A person's reputation was like a tree's shadow. Especially in front of the reputation of condensing the mysterious fate, he could not be careless. Therefore, Hao could only be depressed. It was because of this that he, who was taking a break from his busy schedule, gradually focused his mind. Immediately, his eyes bloomed with an undetectable mysterious light. And then, the beautiful sisters walking in front of him bloomed to their heart's content. Her white and perky buttocks swayed and jiggled as the two of them walked. Her slender waist, which didn't have the slightest bit of excess fat, swayed gracefully. If one were to poke their heads out slightly, they would be able to see her towering snow-white twin peaks, which were jiggling and jiggling. As a result, many people saw a classic scene. Two enchanting, beautiful, identical, and extremely charming girls, followed by a monster who was ugly to the depths of his soul, whose mouth was dripping with saliva. And who was even looking around image? Where's Guanxiao? He's so ugly, why would I care about my image? It's not me anyway, and no one knows it's me. Tian did not care about the gazes around him. On the contrary, he felt smug in his heart. Of course, when there were beauties passing by occasionally, Tian's gaze would still shift a little. It would be a waste if he did not look. Why not look? Second update. Monthly votes, recommendation votes, subscriptions. Dark Mountain continues to write. Please, everyone. To be continued. If you like this work, you're welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 561. Brother How, do we both apply for the ring master position? Yes, apply for both of us. What are we afraid of when we have money? If we bid 2,000 crystals each, we will definitely get the ring master position. Isn't it too wasteful? Sister Shui and the others used to be reluctant to take the teleportation array. That was in the past. Now, they have more money than me. Well, just do as I say. With 0 battle record, suitable opponents may not agree to your request. Those who agree to your request are all interested in the bet. If not, Xiao Shui and Xiao Wu's battle record would not be so bad. All right, the sisters responded. Chen Hao and the sisters were clear about the battle records of Chen Shui, Helian Wuzi, and the others. It was too horrible to look at and was completely unworthy of their talent. The reason was simple, they were poor. Because they were poor and their battle record started from 0, this caused them to be unable to choose an opponent that was suitable for them. But if they directly used the immortal element crystals to apply for the ring master position, it was different. They could choose an opponent that was suitable for them among the many challengers. This way, they could train themselves to the greatest extent. After all, only a battle of equal strength was the best way to train people. Beep, beep, beep. Congratulations, you have successfully applied for the ring master position. Chen Hao and the other two each bid a high price of 2,000 immortal element crystals. 10 minutes later, the results were out. Every small realm had 100 rings. On each ring, there could be countless ring masters every day. This depended on the ring master's battle speed. However, no matter how many ring masters there were every day, half of them were based on yesterday's results, and the waiting cultivators were automatically auctioned according to a certain set of rules. The other half competed based on the amount of immortal element crystals. Basically, every 15 minutes, a few rings would be empty. At this time, it was time for the new ring master to be finalized. All three of them applied successfully. "I'm actually in ring 132, Lung Ningel said in surprise after getting her ring number. Ring 132 was Chunhao's lucky ring after stepping into the second world. It was also the ring for the initial stage of the human immortal stage. "I'm 114, Lung Ninghuan said. "All right, then let's start separately. I'm 235. After the battle, let's go back to our residence. With my name, it's easy for people to think," Chunhao said with a smile. Unfortunately, the smile that was supposed to be handsome and charming on Chunritian was uglier than crying. She was so ugly that no one could see her true feelings. It was too rare. At this moment, Chunhao was at the medium stage of the human celestial stage. Moreover, he had a mission. Although Chunhao was a little unhappy about the mandatory mission, he had to admit that this was exactly what he wanted. In 10,000 battles in the initial stage of the human celestial stage, he had seen all kinds of opponents, both strong and weak, which was enough for him. Even if there was no compulsory mission, Chunhao would still engage in a large number of battles with cultivators of the medium stage of the human celestial stage to lay the most solid foundation for his cultivation. The only difference was that Chunhao had to make the best use of his time. After all, once he found out about Tantai Lian's specific information, he would make a move. At that time, who knew how long it would be before they could enter the second world? 1 year in the second world. However, it was only 36.5 days in the real world. It would pass in the blink of an eye. He didn't want to lose this awesome hidden condition. Moreover, it was a series of hidden conditions. There was nothing he could do about it. Tantai Lian was the first woman he really got. Up to this day, she was also the woman who had walked into Chunhao's heart. After such a long time, there was no news. If he hadn't arrived at the Yaing planet, it would have been fine. But since he had arrived, how could he ignore it? That was not his character. Phew. In the arena, a champion finished his 10th battle. Chunhao let out a long sigh of relief. His body swayed, and his extremely ugly body appeared in the arena. Beep, beep, beep. At the same time, the display beside the arena showed Chunhao's information. Chunritian, medium stage of a human celestial stage. Record: 0 wins, 0 draws, 0 losses. Bet requirement: 200 celestial core crystals. Seeing this information, the cultivators around the arena suddenly looked surprised. Where did this ugly guy come from? How could he be such a wastrel? Looking at the record, they knew that the champion's identity had been bought at a high price. It would have been fine if he had just bought the champion's identity. But the bet requirement was 200 celestial core crystals. That was too much. If he's not very confident in his strength, then he must be a good-for-nothing disciple with a strong background. That was basically everyone's first impression of Chunhao. D*MN. No one has challenged him yet? Is 200 celestial core crystals too high? It seemed a little high. Generally, there's no limit to the bet. They just choose their opponents and bet whatever they want. But I can't do that. I have to get my money back, right? I paid 2,000 celestial core crystals to buy the champion's identity. There are only 10 battles. That's the basic price. Chunhao thought to himself. He had to admit that money came too easily. It also made Chunhao's consumption concept improve too quickly. He thought that 200 celestial core crystals was nothing, but it was almost half of Chun Shui and the other's wealth. Let me try. D*MN. His record is only 0. He is a rookie who just came to the arena. So what if he is rich? He might not be strong. That makes sense. Brother, I support you. If you win, you'll get 200 celestial core crystals. Humph, don't tempt me. If I lose, it will still be 200 celestial core crystals. But I will bet. After a full 3 minutes, a cultivator in the crowd who thought that his strength was good finally issued a challenge. Chunhao accepted it without thinking. Although he didn't know what the hidden condition was, Chun Hao didn't think that the medium stage of the human celestial stage only needed 1,000 victories. Even if the mission was okay, he couldn't do it himself. He needed at least 10,000 victories to really lay the foundation of the medium stage of the human celestial stage. So, naturally, he wouldn't be picky. Not only would he not be picky, but Chun Hao also wanted to suppress himself like he did with 10,000 victories in the past. He wanted his opponent to exert his strength to his heart's content. It was necessary for him to do this. Similarly, there were many benefits. He believed that his name, Chun Tian, would soon be popular. No matter if he was the champion or the challenger, he would be welcomed. At that time, it would be time for him to make money again. D*MN. That's his strength? If I had known, I would have gone first. D*MN. Don't change the betting limit for the next round. When the first cultivator fought with the extremely ugly Chun Hao for a full 5 minutes, among the cultivators around the arena, some of the stronger ones, who didn't dare to challenge him directly because they were afraid of Chun Hao's real strength, regretted it. Just now, they were a little disdainful of the fool who stood out to be a warrior. Now, they admired his wisdom and martial prowess, because at this moment, Chun Hao, who was in the arena, was completely at a disadvantage. He couldn't even launch an attack except for defense. So, at this time, after basically confirming Chun Hao's strength, many cultivators who felt that they would definitely win directly issued a challenge. The only thing that was admirable was that this ugly guy defended very methodically. He was very smart and used his strength very skillfully. Unfortunately, he was at a disadvantage in terms of strength. At the 15th minute, to everyone's surprise, the opponent, who was getting more and more courageous, started to show signs of fatigue. On the contrary, Chun Hao started a counterattack. In a short 3 minutes, Chun Hao won cleanly. Although many of the masters were surprised by Chun Hao's victory and were a little impressed by Chun Hao's fighting talent, they didn't care. They only thought that the challenger was weak. At this time, they were all looking forward to Chun Hao accepting their challenges. Phew! The effect is not bad. After defeating his first opponent, Chun Hao let out a long sigh. He thought to himself, I can't accept them according to the time. There are 42 challengers now. I should start with those who have weaker records. This was different from when Chun Hao activated the hidden condition of unlimited battles. Although it was still under the hidden condition now, it had started to limit the number of battles. He could only fight 10 battles a day. Mother of Asterisk, I lost. The cultivator, who had turned into a streak of white light and appeared outside the arena, felt his heart ache at the loss of 200 celestial origin crystals. But the strange thing was that his face was actually shining with excitement. And he added, "But I admit it, it's worth it." It was so satisfying. They were evenly matched, and he was able to perform to the fullest. Although he lost in the end, the gains from this battle made him feel that it was worth it. Soon, one battle after another was played out. In every match, Ugly Person was at a disadvantage. However, Ugly Person won every match. As for the cultivators who had won 200 celestial origin crystals, although they had lost, they were not very depressed. On the contrary, they were all excited. In fact, at this time, even if they didn't say anything, everyone could see that this kind of battle was undoubtedly a good training for both sides. The only thing that surprised them was that the ugly guy called Chun Tian was obviously not strong enough, but his fighting talent was getting more and more awesome. Of course, this was a feeling that appeared after watching a few more battles. Sorry, if nothing unexpected happens, I will come again tomorrow. If anyone is interested in challenging me, tomorrow. After fighting 10 battles, Chun Hao said in a low, muffled voice. After he finished speaking, he jumped off the arena. He didn't look at the beautiful sisters who had finished their 10 battles long ago and came to watch him fight. He directly transmitted his voice and walked out of the arena. Today, the beautiful sisters didn't limit the amount of money the challengers could bet like Chun Hao did. They didn't have abnormal strength like Chun Hao, so their challengers were basically cultivators with low battle records. This was easy to understand. Those who came to the arena basically came to improve their strength. Experts didn't need to waste their quota of 10 battles for a rookie with 0 battle records. Only the rookies who didn't have high battle records and wanted to improve their battle records would challenge the beautiful sisters. With the sisters' careful choice and the two of them relying on their innate talents and strength, the results were pretty good. Lung Ning won 6 battles, lost 4 battles. Lung Ning Lu won 5 battles, lost 5 battles. After a few rounds, the two of them had deliberately chosen opponents with slightly better battle records. That was why they had lost. Third update. Dark Mountain continues. Overriding chapters. Writing speed is a bit slow. Fourth update might be a bit late. Brothers and sisters who can't wait can read it tomorrow. Thank you, Brother Luo Shi, for tipping me again. I am promoted to the Proud Heavens Alliance. Thank you, brothers and sisters who tipped me. Thank you. Finally, seeking monthly votes, seeking subscriptions, seeking recommendations. I have risen to 85th place. Let's go up. To be continued. If you like this work, you're welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 562. Chun Ri-Tian, you're not being nice. I've been challenging you for a few days now. It should be my turn now, right? That's right. I've been challenging you for a few days now. If you can't give me a number, I'll accept 500 celestial core crystals as long as you promise me verbally today. Ahem. Don't worry. I didn't accept your challenge because your battle records are too high. I'm not confident. Anyway, I come here every day. It should be your turn soon. I can only promise to fight you, but I can't guarantee a specific time. Sorry. 1 month later in the second world, a shocking scene took place in the arena of the medium stage of the human celestial stage. Why do these people want to fight this ugly monster so badly? Even 500 celestial origin crystals had been obtained. This was not a small sum. After all, regardless of whether it was the ugly person or the challenger, they were not some famous person, and their auras were not very strong either. However, the cultivators who had watched Chun Hao's battles for several days understood what was going on. They just didn't understand Chun Ri-Tian's flirtatiousness. Phew! In the station, Chun Hao slowly opened his eyes. He glanced at the sisters who were cultivating beside him. Chun Hao walked out of the cultivation room and opened the door. Senior brother, is there any news? A month in the second world was only 3 days in the real world. When Chun Hao was avoiding the top forces who came to invite him, he asked Heavenly Venerable Yuan Ru to help him find out more about Tantai Lien. Yes, just now, Shao Yin's sect, the Dawning Pill sect, came to invite Huan Huan and Lei Lei. I also asked about Tantai Lien. Junior brother, are you sure you want to go? Yes, I have to go, Chun Hao said without hesitation. Okay, then you must be careful. Shao Yin's mission is an impassable human celestial stage mission. It's a mission to collect fire essence from the blazing star. The details of the mission were to collect 100 blaze essence crystals. Only when the mission is completed will the Alliance take it back. As for the mission reward and the specific situation of the blazing star, I didn't ask. You'll know when you receive the mission. However, since it's an impassable mission, it must be extremely dangerous. Heavenly Venerable Yuan Ru said. How are the missions categorized? Chun Hao asked. He had just arrived on the Ying planet, so although he had learned some things from the information he had received, they were mostly general. As for the specifics, he wasn't sure. There are a total of 4 levels: easy, difficult, dangerous, and impossible. The probability of obtaining a fortuitous encounter is close to 0. The death rate is 1%. The completion rate is 70%, and the probability of obtaining a fortuitous encounter is close to 1 in a million. The death rate is 10%, the completion rate is 20%, and the probability of obtaining a fortuitous encounter is close to 1 in 100,000. The death rate is 60%, the completion rate is 1%, and the probability of obtaining a fortuitous encounter is close to 1 in 10,000. Ahem! Chun Hao's heart skipped a beat. If Tantai Lien was in front of him at this moment, he would definitely hit her head with a chestnut. This girl was simply courting death. What did it mean to have a mortality rate of 60%? These data are only approximate and can only be used as a reference. Junior brother, senior brother knows that you're not an ordinary person, but no matter what, you must be careful. Your life and death doesn't just concern you alone. Understood. Don't worry, senior brother. When do you leave? Now. I'll let Juan and Lele know before I leave. Oh, what if the top forces in the vast universe galaxy come? I won't consider them for the time being. I've just arrived on the Ying planet, and I still need some time to adapt. Now is not the time to leave. Chen Hao said, Senior brother, you can make excuses as you see fit. Put all the blame on me, and you won't offend them. It can only be attributed to you. Okay, then I won't bother you anymore. Chen Hao didn't leave the second world. Therefore, after talking to Heavenly Master Yuanru, who was digesting what he had gained from the battle in the cultivation room of the second world, called out to the sisters and told them his decision. The sisters were confident in Chen Hao, so they weren't worried. In fact, Heavenly Master Yuanru wasn't worried either. After all, Chen Hao was now at the peak of the advanced age of the human immortal stage, and his terrifying talent couldn't be measured by the death rate of ordinary people. The only thing he lacked was mission experience. Moreover, only Chen Hao's original body was leaving. He wouldn't leave the second world, at least for the time being. Phew! 10 minutes later, Chen Hao appeared at the Golden Light City Alliance Mission Center. He had taken several teleportation portals. If he had flown by himself, even if he tore through the void, it would have taken him a day. It had to be said that Golden Light City, which was only a small city on the Ying planet, was thousands of times larger than any city on the Wuji planet. His true core strength surged, changing his appearance and body shape. After putting on a black bamboo hat, Chen Hao walked into the Alliance Mission Center. Any cultivator above the human immortal stage could see that this was a disguise. However, this wasn't important. Many people would do this. The important thing was that they knew how to disguise themselves, but they didn't know who was doing it. This was the most normal thing in the world of cultivation. After all, who didn't have enemies? No one would be willing to expose their whereabouts in front of others. Hello, what kind of mission would you like to take? Chen Hao came to a window and waited for his turn. A pretty female attendant at the window asked with a smile. The mission to collect fire essence from the blazing star. Okay. Sir, this is an impossible level mission. Are you sure? I'm sure, Chen Hao said calmly. Okay, please give me your wealth card. The wealth card was proof of identity in a vast universe galaxy. Moreover, one's identity wouldn't be exposed when doing missions, spending money, and so on. Unless one was willing to make it public, no one could check one's identity through spending money on a wealth card. After a while, the process was completed. This mission requires you to depart from the largest city on the Ying planet, Xintian City, and report to the Alliance headquarters. If you're lucky, you'll be able to depart soon. If you're unlucky, you'll have to wait for 1 or 2 months to gather enough people. I'll only know the details after you report to the headquarters. I wish you success in your mission. That's for sure. However, is that all? Chen Hao took the wealth card and disappeared from the hall. Do you have any other questions, sir? It seems that you haven't told me the details of the mission. Chen Hao's words stunned the young waitress. She was stunned for a full 2 seconds before she said, Sir, could it be that you didn't look at the mission system and directly accepted the mission? Well, where can I look at the mission system? Chen Hao asked, a little embarrassed. He had indeed come to accept the mission directly. The mission system is in the crowded place over there. There are 100 screens. You can queue up and look at them. Okay, thank you. Chen Hao looked at the long line, shook his head, and walked away quickly. So confident. Mission completion rate, 0%. Accepting an impossible mission on his first try? Truly a newborn calf that isn't afraid of tigers. Does he think he's the monstrous genius, Chen Hao? The young waitress muttered after seeing Chen Hao disappear. She was basically certain that this overconfident cultivator would not be able to see tomorrow's sun in the near future. Little did she know that the guy she thought was arrogant was the most dazzling figure in Golden Light City these days. He was famous in Golden Light City. What a powerful heavenly law! 6 hours later, Chen Hao spent 10 immortal core crystals to take a giant transmission formation and arrived at Xiantian City, the largest city on the Ying planet. No wonder I have to pay 1 immortal core crystal a day to stay here if I'm not on a mission. Even cultivating on the ground is much more effective, Chen Hao thought to himself. He was an outsider to Xiantian City. If he had not accepted a mission, he would have to pay 1 immortal core crystal a day until he left. Chen Hao had thought that this system was too exclusive and that many people would be unhappy with it. However, this idea disappeared the moment he entered the city. This was the largest city on the Ying planet, and it also gathered the greatest providence of the Ying planet. Whether it was the heavenly law or the spirit chi of heaven and earth, this was undoubtedly the most powerful place on the Ying planet. If he did not charge a fee, all the cultivators on the Ying planet would probably stay here forever. How could that be? The Alliance Mission Center was next to the Alliance Transmission Center, so Chen Hao quickly completed his registration. Unfortunately, he was not very lucky. He would have to wait for at least a month before he could gather enough people to set off. Chen Hao could only wait. Long has asked me out several times. I'm not familiar with this place, so it seems like a good idea to ask him to be my tour guide. Chen Hao looked at the towering palace and the endless stream of people in front of him. After thinking for a while, he sent a message to Long Yi in the secondary world. When he was taking the test, Long Yi had told him that he would tell him good news if he scored 550 points in all 3 tests. However, before he could talk to Long Yi, Chen Hao was forced to go offline. Later, when he logged into the secondary world, he received a message from Long inviting him to participate in a secret realm trial in the secondary world. He had to satisfy 12 people, and all 12 of them had to score 550 points in all 3 tests. This was one of Long Yi's rewards for fulfilling the hidden conditions. Chen Hao had no reason not to participate. After all, a secret realm trial in the secondary world was a great opportunity for cultivators to improve themselves, even if it was only in the secondary world. However, the trial would start half a year later in the real world. In the secondary world, it would be 5 years later, so it was still early. Brother Chen, where are you now? Soon, Long Yi connected to Chen Hao in the secondary world and asked, I just left the Alliance Transmission Center. Okay, I'll rush back right away. It'll probably take 3 days. I'll ask my sister to pick you up. You're not in Xiantian City? Then forget it. There's no need to trouble others. It's no trouble. It's settled then. Wait for me. You'll stay at my house. Long Yi did not allow Chen Hao to reject and cut off the communication. Brothers and sisters, do you still have monthly votes? We're at 85th place. We're getting closer to our goal. Please charge with Wushan. Monthly votes, recommendation votes, subscriptions. Please, everyone. Thank you. To be continued. If you like this work, you're welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 563. In the second world, Yang City, Long Yi was sparring with his sister, Long Ting, on the training field of the Long family manor. However, he suddenly stopped, apparently talking to someone. Brother, why are you so excited? Long Ting could not help but ask when she saw Long Yi's happy expression after finishing the call. Ting Ting, your real body will go to the Alliance's teleportation center immediately to pick someone up. Pick someone up? Who are we picking up? Long Ting asked. The person you've been asking me to take you to these 2 days. You're talking about Chen Hao? Long Ting asked in surprise. Yes. Go quickly. My real body will rush back as soon as possible. I'm also looking forward to seeing if his real body will give me that feeling of familiarity at first sight. Yes. I'll go now. Outside, Xiantian City, Long family. Long Ting quickly walked out of the cultivation room and changed into a more formal outfit that she liked. She quickly and simply tidied up her already elegant and beautiful appearance before disappearing from the room. Ever since the battle between Long Yi and Chen Hao, Long Ting had heard her brother talk about Chen Hao many times. His words were full of praise and appreciation. Long Ting had long been curious about what kind of person Chun Hao was for her brother, who had always been picky and stingy with praise. A few days ago, after Chun Hao's heaven-defying test result had shaken the entire Yang planet, Long Ting was even more curious and had urged Long Yi to take her to meet him. Unfortunately, she had not been able to do so. Now, the opportunity had finally come, and she was going to meet him in person. He looks a bit like my brother. His talent is much better than mine. He must be very arrogant in person, right? Long Ting, who had quickly boarded the teleportation array in the city, had to admit that she was a little nervous to meet such a heaven-defying genius. In fact, this was understandable. After all, she was a young girl in the prime of her youth in the cultivation world. She would more or less have subtle feelings about the opposite sex, especially a youth of the same age who was famous in the vast universe galaxy. If not for this, she would not have tidied up her appearance before setting off. Who cares if he's arrogant or not? I want to see what kind of person can be more outstanding than my brother. Since she was young, Long Yi had been Long Ting's idol. She was already in the season of love, but she was still alone. Not a single young man could attract her attention, let alone a Dao partner. The reason was simple. She couldn't help but compare all the people who pursued her with her brother. Once she compared them, she lost all interest. This kind of brother complex made the people of the Long family feel very helpless. But now, even if the facts clearly proved that Chun Hao was better than Long Yi, she had to admit it even if she didn't want to. But before she saw the real person, she was unwilling to believe it. Brother, I'm here. There's so many people who have changed their appearances and are wearing black bamboo hats. Which one is him? When Long Ting's real body arrived at the entrance of the Alliance's teleportation center, she saw at least dozens of cultivators wearing black bamboo hats who had obviously changed their appearances. She had seen Chun Hao's image, but she didn't have the ability to find Chun Hao among so many people. Therefore, she could only ask her brother in the second world. Oh, I asked Brother Chun to find you. After Long Yi finished speaking, he directly contacted Chun Hao again. How can they be so similar? How can they be so similar? Long Yi and Long Ting didn't know that when Long Ting arrived at the entrance of the Alliance's teleportation center, Chun Hao's gaze had already focused on Long Ting. He stared at her in a daze. He was extremely shocked and couldn't believe what he was seeing. At the same time, in the second world, the news and image from Long Yi allowed Chun Hao to confirm that the girl in front of him was Long Yi's sister, Long Ting. Phew, it should be a coincidence. After all, it's not strange for there to be someone who looks similar or is exactly the same among the billions of people. They're basically existences from two different worlds. There shouldn't be any intersection, right? Unless. Chun Hao frowned. The more he thought about it, the more he felt that there was a connection. Otherwise, why would he feel an inexplicable sense of closeness when he saw Long Yi? And now, the sense of closeness on Long Ting was just as strong. Under the urging of Long Yi in the second world, Chun Hao didn't think too much and directly walked towards Long Ting, who was looking around. Hello. When Chun Hao walked over, Long Ting's gaze was also filled with curiosity. She looked at him and greeted him first. You are? I am. Without waiting for Long Ting to speak, Chun Hao said, Your brother Long Yi's sister, right? Yes, I'm Long Ting. It's nice to meet you. My brother asked me to pick you up. He'll rush back as fast as he can. Shall I bring you to our family first? Long Ting said with a smile, but her mind was curiously sensing Chun Hao's aura. Even though she knew that Chun Hao was in disguise only changed his appearance and figure, and the change in his aura was only external, so she should still be able to notice some clues. Unfortunately, to her disappointment and surprise, in her perception, Chun Hao's body was like a vast ocean that was unfathomable, and his aura was ever-changing as if it was changing at all times. Just this point alone made Long Ting know that Chun Hao wasn't simple. All right, then I'll have to trouble you, Sister Long, Chun Hao said softly. As he addressed her, he naturally closed the distance between them. Even though Chun Hao wasn't necessarily older than Long Ting, he was Long Yi's friend. Calling her Sister Long was the right thing to do. Moreover, Chun Hao originally didn't want to live in the Long family, but after seeing Long Ting, he changed his mind. Chun Hao's powerful soul perception was also carefully probing Long Ting's aura. If he didn't know that Long Ting was Long Yi's younger sister, maybe Chun Hao would directly use his newly derived divine ability to see through Long Ting. This was definitely not because he was seduced by Long Ting's beauty, nor was it mixed with any improper thoughts. He just wanted to verify the doubts in his heart. However, when she heard Chun Hao's address, Long Ting's mouth twitched slightly, and she was a little proud. In particular, she could feel that Chun Hao was looking at her very carefully. Although she didn't sense Chun Hao's soul perception, she, who was at the peak of the later stage of the human celestial stage, had the keen intuition of a cultivator. What did this mean? Every young man she met, which one of them didn't try to get close to her? Which one of them wasn't attracted by her appearance? Although Long Ting wasn't a person who liked to show off, being noticed and pursued by others, no young girl would be unhappy. Especially a monstrous genius like Chun Hao. Unfortunately, Long Ting didn't know that she had misunderstood. Chun Hao was indeed secretly looking at her, but there was an essential difference between him and those young men who pursued her. Oh God, there's still a lot of low-level materials left, right? What's the matter? Help me refine some small things, the lowest level. You don't need any runes, you just need to be precise. Oh, no problem. Master, tell me. Chun Hao ordered in his mind as he followed Long Ting to the Long family. Although this idea might not be useful, Chun Hao wanted to try and see if he could find some kind of connection. That was the technology of Earth. He wanted to identify Long Ting or Long Yi's DNA. The reason was simple, because Long Ting's appearance was really similar to the body of the mysterious woman in his memory who gave birth to him, but wasn't his mother and son. She was also the key to his coming to this world, although Chun Hao knew that as a cultivator's cultivation increased, their physical body would constantly evolve, and their genes and DNA might undergo subversive changes according to their individual situation. He still wanted to try and see if he could find a pattern and confirm some kind of connection. This was something that couldn't be helped, and the reason was his own body. Although he was a real person, the way he was born wasn't the normal way humans reproduce. In other words, he didn't inherit the so-called bloodline inheritance in the cultivation world. Such a special situation naturally required a special method to determine it. As for whether it could be realized or not, he couldn't be sure. We're here. Brother Chun, this is our Long family. Sister Ting, just call me Chun Hao. There's no need to be so formal. Chun Hao smiled. Okay, then I'll call you Chun Hao. Now that we're at my house, can you show your true face? Long Ting didn't care about trifles and looked at Chun Hao with a scrutinizing gaze. Of course. Don't be too surprised. Ha! Chun Hao laughed. Ha! I thought you were quite arrogant, but you're completely different from what I imagined. Why should I be surprised? Brother showed me your image, and you're not as handsome as my brother. Long, he stared at Chun Hao and said, I'm just joking with you. You're not bad yourself. Ha! When I said I was surprised, I didn't mean what you thought. Also, you're right, I'm quite arrogant, but when I see you, it's like the first time I saw Brother Long. I can't be arrogant even if I want to. Why? Whoosh. Chun Hao didn't explain, but his aura suddenly changed. The moment he took off his black bamboo hat, his body and appearance returned to normal, and he looked at Long Ting with a smile. Long Ting looked at Chun Hao from top to bottom, and after a full 2 seconds, she said, There's nothing to be surprised about. It's basically the same as the image. Huh. Long Ting had to admit that when she truly saw Chun Hao's real body at such a close distance, it was far from what an image could compare to. Especially Chun Hao's pitch-black and deep eyes. They even emitted a charm that made one's heart palpitate. However, Long Ting was not a love-struck fool. Even if she was a little surprised, she would definitely not express it in her words. But as she spoke, her expression suddenly changed. She opened her small cherry mouth in surprise and was unable to close it again. Ha! Seeing Long Ting's expression, Chun Hao's originally uncertain thoughts finally confirmed that Long Ting had the same feelings as him. First update. Ha! The premium novel's ranking updated in 3 days. and Dark Mountain updated 41,302 words in 3 days, ranking first. This has never happened before, and Dark Mountain actually managed to do it. This is the strength that everyone gave me. Dark Mountain will continue to fight. Brothers and sisters, fight with me to the end. I beg for monthly votes, recommendation votes, and also for brothers and sisters with the ability to support and subscribe. Subscriptions are the foundation of every writer. Please, everyone, let us charge. To be continued. If you like this work, you're welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 564. This feeling was indescribable, but it was real. Just like when Chun Hao and Long Yi first met, they felt like old friends at first sight. When Chun Hao's real body appeared and his aura returned, Long Ting felt like she had seen someone familiar. It was obviously the first time she saw the real person, and it was impossible for them to have any interaction, but she felt like she had seen him before in some corner of her memory. There was an epiphany of "so it's you," but it was followed by a confusion of "who is it?" Did it appear in a dream, or in the corner of her soul memory? Or was it a chance encounter in the 100 reincarnations that awakened the feeling of 100 reincarnations? Or was it a past life, a past life, a past life? There was no answer, but the feeling was real, and that was familiarity. Phew, no wonder Big Brother said we felt like old friends at first sight. I also have this feeling. Do you have it too? Long Ting was stunned for a moment. Looking at the smiling Chun Hao, she suddenly felt a lot closer and asked, "If not, do you think I'm a kind of person who would stick to a beautiful girl whenever I see one?" Chun Hao said, "Huh." Long Ting laughed exaggeratedly without caring about her image and said, "That's what I thought. I thought it was my charm that attracted you. It's Sister Long, and you're secretly sizing me up. Ha ha. Then it seems that my charm is not bad. Knowing this, you still didn't give me a look. Could it be that you feel a little moved?" Chun Hao's mouth curved up slightly, revealing his signature evil charm. "Bah, who's moved by you? I'm just giving face to my big brother. Besides, you are now a famous genius in the vast universe galaxy. I can't be angry with you just because of a look, right?" The two of them were like friends who had known each other for many years. They joked without restraint as they walked into the magnificent palace together. What made Chun Hao feel slightly strange was that he didn't see anyone along the way. Although he didn't dare to release his powerful soul perception out of politeness, he naturally sensed that there were no cultivators within a few thousand meters of him. "Why are there so few people in your family?" Chun Hao couldn't help but ask. "How are there few? There is no one. Didn't you see the token that opened the door just now? No one. That's right. Although our clan is known as the Long Clan, we only have 39 members in total. Why are there so few?" Chun Hao was a little surprised. "This question, I can't answer you. It's our family's secret," Long Ting said, a little embarrassed. In fact, by saying that it was a family secret, she had already revealed the secret. This was because to the outside world, the Long family didn't seem to care about reproduction at all. However, even though Long Ting knew that she couldn't say it, she still couldn't help but tell Chun Hao. This was her family's secret. But after saying that, he regretted it and hurriedly added, "This is our family's secret, and it's also a secret. You have to keep it a secret." Ahem. "Okay," Chun Hao said. However, he was even more curious. What kind of secret could it be? However, looking at Long Ting's careful appearance, he probably wouldn't be able to get anything out of her. Moreover, since she said that it was a secret, Chun Hao didn't ask anymore. "You can stay here. This is my brother's courtyard. In the middle is my brother's room. You can choose any of the other rooms." Long Ting brought Chun Hao around the spacious and huge manor. After walking quickly for a full 10 minutes, they arrived at a small courtyard filled with exotic flowers and plants. The environment was unique and elegant. "Okay, next to it is my courtyard. I'll go get you something delicious to eat. Do you want it?" Something delicious to eat? Chun Hao was slightly stunned. Ever since he stepped into the cultivation world, his appetite for food was close to non-existent. Only when he was with Huyan Alboa and the others, he would often drink a little wine. Basically, all his energy was put into cultivation. What enjoyment of life? It was close to non-existent. Because of this, Long Ting's words, while making Chun Hao surprised, also touched a certain nerve of Chun Hao's. You don't like it? If you don't like it, then forget it. You must be like my brother, only knowing how to cultivate. How boring, Long Ting said, a little unhappy. I didn't say I don't like it. If it's delicious, I naturally have to taste it. Let's go. Chun Hao was stunned for a moment and said, You're dealing with me again. Forget it. I don't like to force things. You go cultivate. Sister Ting, I'm serious. You can't be so cruel as to evoke the desire that I've hidden for so many years and then tell me that you don't want to do it anymore. What are you talking about? Long Ting pinched her nose and said with a slightly red face. But after speaking, she still pulled Chun Hao's sleeve and walked towards her courtyard. It seems like there's something wrong with what I said. Don't let this girl misunderstand that I have that kind of meaning. I have to be careful. Chun Hao caught the shy expression on Long Ting's face and thought to himself. In the room, the furnishings were so luxurious that it made Chun Hao dizzy. Any random chair was made from rare and precious 10,000-year-old spiritual wood. There were also many small trinkets made from precious materials, but they were casually placed. This was a little out of Chun Hao's expectations. This was obviously Long Ting's private living room. Shouldn't it be the same as hers, neatly arranged and clean? What's there to see? It's just a little messy. Sit, I'll go get some food. You can't judge a book by its cover. Chun Hao casually sent out a stream of energy and gathered the small trinkets beside the chair together, piling them in a corner before sitting down. Not long after, Long Ting used her inner yuan to carry over 10 steaming hot and exquisite dishes and happily placed them in front of Chun Hao. Then, after passing Chun Hao a bowl and chopsticks, she stared at the shocked face of Chun Hao and said, Try the taste and see how it tastes? I've recently come up with a few side dishes. They're very delicious. Ahem. Sister Ting, can I say, you're recklessly wasting God's gift? Chun Hao looked at Long Ting's expression. He knew that what he should do was to first take a bite, then close his eyes and put on an intoxicated expression. Then, like a hurricane, he wolfed down all the food in front of him. After that, he stared at Long Ting with a face full of worship, with tears streaming down his face, and said, It's too delicious, too delicious. In the future, if I can't eat food like this, how can I live? But in the end, Chun Hao couldn't hold back and spoke his mind. Damn it, was this a side dish? Every side dish on the Wuji star would be fought over by several major forces. Although Chun Hao didn't know much about the price of the spiritual objects of heaven and earth on the Yang star, he could estimate that the value of these 12 dishes was at least 100,000 immortal yuan crystals just by sensing the aura contained in them. Moreover, the knowledgeable old god was still introducing them in his mind. However, Long Ting had turned these precious spiritual herbs into side dishes. Long Ting's expectant expression changed bit by bit after hearing Chun Hao's words. In the end, she stared fiercely at Chun Hao and said angrily, Are you going to eat or not? She almost put one hand on her waist and pointed at Chun Hao's nose with the other. Yes, I'll eat, Chun Hao said hurriedly. Then, knowing that he had said something wrong, he decisively acted out a scene from the classic comedy God of Cookery that had been going on for a long time on Earth. This made Long Ting burst out laughing. In fact, she wasn't angry at Chun Hao's words at all. After all, how could she not know the value of the ingredients she had used? It wasn't the first time she had heard Chun Hao's words. Even her brother had said the same thing, but it wasn't as serious as Chun Hao had made it out to be. In fact, it was a little wasteful, but their family could afford it. You don't have to make me happy. It's delicious, but your acting is too exaggerated. I haven't eaten yet, but you've already finished it. Ahem, it's too delicious. I couldn't help it. Chun Hao wiped the oil stains on his mouth and said, You can cook some more. There are no more ingredients, and I still have to buy more. No, you have to come with me. Long Ting pulled Chun Hao to the house. Young master, they've come out again, when Long Ting and Chun Hao, who had disguised himself again, walked out of the Long residence together. A cultivator who looked like an ordinary passerby with a weak aura sent out a message from the second world. Even with Chun Hao's incomparably powerful perception, he didn't discover that he was being followed. One could imagine how high the cultivation of the person who came was. You still can't confirm who it is? Yes, the other party still changed his appearance and aura. However, he shouldn't be chasing after any of the Miss Long otherwise. I could more or less sense it. Yes, follow them. I'll be back soon. I want to see who it is that Long Ting would actually personally receive. Yes, young master. The old man leisurely followed Chun Hao and Long Ting from afar. This wasn't the first time he had followed them like this. Moreover, with his cultivation, he definitely wouldn't be discovered by Long Ting. In fact, he didn't have any ill intentions. He was just following his young master. They look very intimate. I'm afraid young master will go crazy later. Who could be? His cultivation is only at the peak of the advanced stage of the human celestial stage, but his aura is not weaker than Long Yi's. Could it be a genius from another main planet of the vast universe star system? Well, it should be possible. But no one on the Asianing planet dares to disrespect young master. This is the largest market for spiritual items of heaven and earth in Xintian City. Almost all the cultivators in the Asianing planet come here to buy spiritual items of heaven and earth above the mid-range. Long Ting introduced the market to Chun Hao while looking for what she wanted. Chun Hao was completely stunned by the scene in front of him. Although he had long known that Xintian City was the gathering place of the top forces and experts on the Asianing planet, he didn't expect the so-called market for spiritual items of heaven and earth to be so powerful. All kinds of precious spiritual herbs were placed in rows on the stalls on both sides of the street, like a vegetable market. If it weren't for the protective seals that prevented spiritual energy from leaking out, it would really be like a vegetable market. Second update. Pray for Yun. In the morning, the high-rise residents of our community came down and said there was an earthquake. Wu Shan didn't pay much attention to it, but he found out in the afternoon that the epicenter was Yun in Sichuan. I'm in Kunming. So many disasters. I hope my friends in Sichuan are fine. I hope everyone is safe. If you like this work, you're welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 565. This together, all of these, looking at Long Ting asking the attendant to take out the spiritual items without even asking the price. Chun Hao, who did not want others to think that he was a country bumpkin and had no magnanimity, had been holding back. But in the end, he was still defeated by Long Ting. This was completely Jean Ling's first time entering a market, and he was destined to be a big fat sheep being slaughtered by the vendors. Sister Ting, these are not clearly marked with prices. I know. What's the matter? Don't you think that we should bargain? Bargain? Ha! They don't dare to sell to me at a high price. Our family is also one of the bosses here, and we enjoy the lowest discount. Right, if you like anything, just say it. I'll give it to you. Shen Hao did not speak. All along, this brother had thought that he was very rich, but now, he finally knew what it meant to be rich. This was the real, fair, rich, and beautiful. Fortunately, Chun Hao was not a softy, and he did not have the idea of being a gigolo. Otherwise, if he was thick-skinned and picked some, it would definitely not be a problem. It was more than 100,000 immortal core crystals, enough for an ordinary cultivator to be extravagant for a while. The meal he had just eaten was also worth 100,000 immortal core crystals. It's about enough to eat for a while. It's your first time in Xintian City. Do you want me to show you around? No need. There's nothing much to show. I recently encountered a bottleneck in my cultivation, and I need to comprehend more. Chen Hao said immediately. Show him around? Show him around? In this awesome place, he faced all the awesome things. Unfortunately, there was no awesome wealth. Was he looking for trouble? If he had not transferred the immortal core crystals to Chen Shui and the rest, he could still buy some things that he liked. Now, he could only stare. Is that so? All right, then we'll ting ting. What a coincidence. You're also here to buy things? At this moment, a young man who was walking out suddenly saw Long Ting. He exclaimed in surprise and quickly walked over. This young man was tall and slender, and he was handsome and outstanding. He belonged to the kind of person who made people feel cold at first glance. His aura was like a sharp sword, and he did not need to be deliberate at all, and his sword soared into the sky. What sharp aura! Chun Hao was slightly surprised when he sensed the young man's aura. Even Long, he could not give him such a feeling. Yeah, Brother Tian, didn't you go to do a mission? After Long Ting saw the person who had come, she was slightly surprised. She seemed to want to take a step forward and block in front of Chun Hao, but then she seemed to have thought of something. Her footsteps stopped abruptly, and she said with a smile, "I've been back for 2 days, and this is..." Sure enough, as Long Ting expected, the youth she addressed as Brother Tian raised his sword-like brows as he looked at Chun Hao and asked. Chun Hao, who was hidden under the black bamboo hat, frowned slightly. Since he had changed his appearance and aura, he naturally didn't want to reveal his true appearance. However, the young man didn't seem to notice this and asked in an unreserved manner, "A new friend of mine. It's inconvenient to reveal his true identity. You should have a chance to get to know him in the future, right? My friend's strength is very strong. He may be on the same level as my brother." "Huh?" Long Ting looked at Chun Hao with an imperceptible mischievous look in her eyes and said, "Is that so?" The young man, surnamed Tian, looked at Chun Hao again and asked indifferently in a condescending and provocative manner, "Of course. Brother John Doe, let me introduce..." Long Ting simply wanted to watch a good show. She directly tugged at Chun Hao's sleeve and called him Brother John Doe. "This is the famous Tian Jun from the Yang planet. You should have heard of him, right?" But she knew in her heart that Chun Hao should not have heard of him. After all, she knew that Chun Hao had just arrived at the Yang planet not long ago. Although Tian Jun was famous, he had not reached the point where everyone knew him. The reason why she asked this question was completely intentional. "Sorry, brother, I can tell at first glance that you are an expert among experts, a genius among geniuses. You are like a sword, and your heart is like a sword. Your sword soars into the sky as if it is going to break the firmament. Although I have never heard of you, I am definitely ignorant. After all, I have just arrived at the Yang planet." Chun Hao said. How could the astute Chun Hao not see through Long Ting's little trick? He had no time to play this kind of trick. Therefore, he turned a blind eye to Tian Jun's provocative look. Instead, he spoke very honestly. His words of praise were not flattery, but the truth. The young man in front of him did give him a very dangerous feeling. In particular, the young man was at the peak of the initial stage of the Earth's celestial stage. "It seems that you are an expert in the way of the sword." "That's good." Before Long Ting could speak, Tian Jun, who was staring at Chun Hao, spoke. His eyes were still full of provocation and even aggressiveness. It seemed that he was not affected by Chun Hao's compliment at all. Chun Hao was slightly taken aback. "Who the hell is this guy? He's like a thorn. Did I offend you?" "Brother Tian, are you going to challenge me again?" Brother John Doe is just like my brother. He deliberately imprisons himself in the human celestial stage. You're already in the Earth celestial stage. Is there a need for that? Long Ting was very dissatisfied with Chun Hao's performance. Therefore, she ignored Chun Hao's obvious intention of not wanting to complicate matters. Instead, she looked at Tian Jun and said, "How can I, Tian Jun, miss this opportunity to make Ting say that he's strong and comparable to your brother? John Doe, I, Tian Jun, have no right to call you John Doe. I want to challenge you. Do you dare to accept? Oh, I forgot. Since you have never heard of my name, you must not know my character. Whether you agree or not, you have to agree in the end. Don't worry, I won't force you." F***CK. Chun Hao cursed in his heart. Is this not forcing me? What does it mean to be forcing me? Yes. Brother John Doe, Brother Tian will challenge anyone of the same age as him. He is a famous challenge maniac in the Shantian city. He will not give up until he achieves his goal. Whether you agree or not, he will agree in the end. He is not forcing you. He is pestering you. Also, don't worry. He will control his realm to be the same as yours. Well, Strictly speaking, Brother Tian is my brother's best friend. Ha! Long Ting stepped between the two of them and said. Long Ting's meaning was like a louse on a monk's head. It was too obvious. It was nothing more than telling Chan Hao, just fight, just fight. Nothing will happen, and there's no need to be afraid of offending others. Maybe in the future. For now, I don't have the time or the mood. Chen Hao glared at Long Ting. Although they were separated by the black veil of the bamboo hat, Long Ting could feel Chen Hao's dissatisfaction. Chen Hao continued, By the way, I won't go back with you. When your brother comes back, tell him that I have something urgent to attend to. See you next time. Hiss. Before Long Ting could react, Chen Hao turned into a ray of light. His aura disappeared completely in an instant. Long Ting panicked. She did not expect Chen Hao's reaction to her actions would be so intense. She immediately regretted it. Sister Ting, I don't want to expose my identity. If you want to know my strength, you can do it yourself. Why do you need an outsider to fight with me? Since this fellow is close to your brother and you, he will probably guess that it is me once we fight. All right, I will walk around by myself. I will go back at night. Don't go, I was wrong. Long Ting shouted to the void. It couldn't be helped. She couldn't even sense a trace of Chen Hao's aura, let alone lock on a Chen Hao and send a voice transmission. Chen Hao's sudden decision made her a little regretful, so she did not even think about it before calling him out. Unfortunately, Chen Hao did not reply to her. Swish! The instant Chen Hao disappeared, Tianjin's body started to move despite the absence of wind. In that instant, he raised his senses to the maximum, spreading them out in all directions. Was he trying to hide and escape? What a joke. If I, Tianjin, was so simple, I would not be famous for being difficult to deal with. However, how is this possible? Tianjin was dumbfounded. He had always been confident in his powerful perception. However, he could not detect Chen Hao's aura at all. More importantly, he was at the Earth Celestial stage, while his opponent was only at the Human Celestial stage. Ting Ting, who is John Doe? Brother Tian, I can't tell you. Anyway, you don't know him. It's all your fault. Why did you have to meet me at this time? If I didn't meet you, I wouldn't want you to test his strength, and he wouldn't be angry with me. Ting Ting, I have to go. I suddenly remembered that I have something urgent to attend to. Oh, by the way, I got something good from this mission. I'll give it to you. Swish. Tianjin threw something to Long Ting and left in a hurry. What a joke. He was not afraid of anything. He was only afraid that his great-grandmother would be angry with him. He knew very well that he would leave after throwing something to her. Otherwise, he would be blackmailed out of many things. You ran fast. Long Ting looked at the thing in her hand and muttered to herself, and then she glanced at the surroundings. When she didn't receive any more voice transmissions from Chen Hao, she knew that Chen Hao had probably left, and she could only resentfully return home swiftly. Beep, beep. Young master, you don't have to come. Huh? What's wrong? Just now, Long Ting and that young man met Tianjin. Tianjin challenged the young man, but he avoided the challenge and left. He left? Where's Long Ting? The young man seemed to be angry with Long Ting. Long Ting took the teleportation device and went home. What surprised me was that after the young man hid, even I couldn't sense his aura. If I'm not wrong, that young man might have a high-grade saint artifact that can hide his aura. Moreover, he should be a top genius from a powerful planet in the vast universe galaxy. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to activate a high-grade saint artifact. He's that powerful. Yeah, apart from that, there's no other reason why I couldn't sense him. All right, you can continue to follow Long Ting. Contact me if you have a chance. Yes, young master. Author's note. Today is the third watch. I've been going a high intensity for a few days now. I'm really sleepy today. I'll have a good sleep first. If you have a vote, please vote for Dark Mountain. Thank you. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 566. In the secondary world, Chen Hao sent a message to Long Yi emphasizing that he could not reveal his identity. After all, he was now in the eye of the storm. Not only were the top forces of the Yaing planet going to Golden Light City to rope him in, but even the forces of the vast universe galaxy would be there. If Chun Hao's identity was exposed, he would be in big trouble. Who knew how many people would come after him? How could he complete his mission then? Not to mention, Chun Hao was also clearly aware that some people would definitely be driven to desperate measures and would stop at nothing to find an opportunity to eliminate him. Especially before he decided which force to join, this was undoubtedly the best opportunity. For all these reasons, Chun Hao had to be cautious. After all, he only had potential, not strength. Any celestial immortal expert would be able to kill him. Brother, what should we do? He will not come back, right? It's okay. Since he said he would go back tonight, he should be back. He should have a lot of concerns. Sister, did you ask him what he was going to do in Xintian City this time? No. Brother, he gives me a good feeling. Like you said, we hit it off at first sight. When we're together, it's like we've known each other for years. Oh. He was slightly surprised to hear Long Ting's words. A smile appeared on his face as he stared at Long Ting. Brother, what are you doing? I don't mean anything. I just feel that he's familiar and close. That's right. I hit it off with him at first sight. That's the feeling between two men. Sister, you hit it off with him at first sight. It shouldn't be called hitting it off. It should be called love at first sight. Bah! Brother, don't talk nonsense. Ha! You're blushing. Sister, Brother Chun is really good. No matter what, he's the most outstanding person I've ever seen. If you really like him, I'll be the first to support you. But, as far as I know, he already has a cultivation partner, and it's not as simple as 2 or 3. You have to be mentally prepared. Furthermore, you should be aware of our Long clan's secret. The two of us are variables. Long Ting blushed. She had always had a brother complex. In fact, the short contact with Chun Hao was like being with her brother. It felt good, but this good feeling was not mixed with any other thoughts. However, she had never experienced a relationship between a man and a woman. She did not know if this feeling was the love at first sight that Long Yi had mentioned. It should take about a month to gather all the members. During this time, I have to complete the second world's hidden mission. Chun Hao, who had merged with all things in the world, wandered aimlessly in Xintian City. Chun Ritien, who was in disguise in the second world, started fighting again. Ever since the first time Chun Ritien purchased a champion, he no longer needed to purchase his identity. He could be evaluated as one of the champions for the second day. The reason was very simple. With a record of 10 consecutive victories and a generous bet, just these 2 points alone were enough to instantly defeat the majority of cultivators. There was no reason for him not to be one of the champions of the second day. Moreover, as he became more and more popular, many cultivators wanted to fight with him but could not. This directly caused the number of cultivators who applied to fight with Chun Ritien to increase their bets. I've already completed more than 300 battles, and all of them are victories. 1 month in the real world is enough for me to obtain 1,000 victories. 1 month in the real world was 10 months in the second world. It was almost 1 year in the second world, which was the limit of the mission. Now that he had more than 300 victories, he only needed 600 more to complete the requirement of 1,000 victories. 2 months in the second world would be enough. Arena? Chun Hao, who was wandering, was suddenly attracted by a huge signboard. The words arena were exactly the same as the one in Yang City in the second world. Even the palace looked exactly the same from the outside. I didn't expect Xintian City to have such a place. Let's go in and take a look. Chun Hao was wandering aimlessly. Now that he saw the arena that looked exactly the same as the one in the second world, he suddenly had the desire to see the cultivators in Xintian City. After paying the same price as the entrance ticket in the second world, Chun Hao entered. At that moment, he had the illusion that he had entered the second world. That was because the aura here was too similar to that of the second world. Countless cultivators filled the arena, and the various levels of the arena were exactly the same as the one in the second world. Only the manual in his hand allowed Chun how to understand that the fighting mode here was different from that of the second world. That was because no one could fight continuously in the real world, and no one could instantly recover to their peak state after battle. Similarly, the life and death here was real life and death. In fact, this was the place where cultivators would fight to the death or spar. Amazing, so ruthless. In just a few minutes of watching, Chun-Hao was shocked and excited at the same time. It also made him realize that the second world was the second world. It cannot be compared to the real world. The cruelty of the real world and the nature of not being able to revive made the fighting here very intense. It was far from what the second world could compare to. Chun-Hao was sure that the same person could not unleash 90% of their combat power in the second world. Here, under the pressure of the life and death situation, the power of the small universe far exceeded that of the second world. There was something more important that the second world did not have: equipment and weapons. Being strong doesn't mean that you are strong. In the real world, it's not just about one's combat power, but also their Dharma treasures. Luckily, I'm not in the mood to fight with Tianjun. Since that guy's on good terms with Long Yi and Long Ting, he must have an extremely high status. How can he not have powerful weapons and equipment? At that moment, Chun-Hao, who was originally very confident about the impossible level mission, broke out in cold sweat. Especially when he thought about how the mission to collect the fire crystal marrow from the blazing star had to gather 100 cultivators before setting off. He felt even more uneasy. He thought that the real danger might not be the mission itself. At that thought, Chun-Hao was no longer in the mood to watch the battle. He disappeared from the Xiantian city's arena. After arriving at the teleportation formation in the city, Chun-Hao asked about the Xiantian city auction house and was directly teleported to the nearest teleportation formation. "Sister, don't wait any longer. Brother Chun just sent a message saying that he has something on and won't be returning to our house for the time being. Is he angry with me?" "This? I don't think so. Didn't he tell you that he would be going back? I think he really has something to do." "Brother, give me his contact number." Long Ting said a little sadly. Long Yi understood his sister's character. Although she was a little unreasonable and short-tempered in some aspects, she had a good heart. Similarly, he also felt that Chun-Hao would not blame Long Ting for such a small matter. However, even he was not sure why Chun-Hao would not be returning to the Long family. Of course, he also did not know why Chun-Hao would come to Xiantian City at such a crucial time. Wait a moment then. Long Yi thought about it and sent a message to Chun-Hao first. A moment later, Long Ting received Chun-Hao's contact number. Before she could send a message, she received a message from Chun-Hao. After reading the message, Long Ting smiled. "Sister, what did he say?" "Nothing much. He just said that he's not angry with me at all. After he's done with his business, he'll come to our house." "Oh, that's good. I'll be home the day after tomorrow. We'll talk about it then." Unfortunately, when Long Yi returned home, Chun-Hao was still not there. However, in the second world, Chun-Hao told Long Yi and Long Ting that he would need at least 10 days to half a month. This made Long Yi and Long Ting even more curious about what Chun-Hao was doing. Although they asked, Chun-Hao did not say anything, so they were too embarrassed to ask. On the other hand, Tianjun rushed over on the second day after Long Yi's return. He looked a little excited as he told Long Yi and Long Ting a piece of news. Then, the three of them walked out of the Long residence and headed to the auction house. According to the news from the auction house, there are all kinds of origin stones being auctioned this time. There's even a high-quality spirit spring. How shocking. That's right. When I heard this news, I rushed back without stopping. I feel that there's something fishy going on. What do you mean? Think about it. Origin stones, no matter the quality, are extremely rare items. If there's one that suits you, even if the quality is low, someone will bid for it at high price. This is not the usual style of the auction house. How can they not say that the benefits are the most important? This news is so rushed. Although it's spread widely, you still have to have time to rush back. According to the usual style of the auction house, they'll definitely do their best to promote it. At the very least, they'll have to arrange it for the auction in a month, right? That's true. However, according to the insider news I received, the seller wants to auction it immediately. Besides, with the reputation of the auction house, it's impossible for them to release fake news. Oh, since that's the case, there shouldn't be any problems. I hope there'll be the origin stones I need. In the auction house, according to the usual practice, today was a traditional small-scale auction. It was the kind that was held every day, and the items being auctioned should not be of great value. However, when Long Ting, and Tianjun entered the auction house, the number of cultivators there was no less than a large-scale auction that had been promoted. Moreover, the buzz of discussion directly explained the reason. It was the extremely rare origin stones and supreme-grade spirit spring in the world of cultivation. Of course, most people were here for the origin stones. This did not mean that supreme-grade spirit spring was not as precious as origin stones, but the audience was different. The auction price of supreme-grade spirit spring would definitely be higher. However, the cultivators who came for the supreme-grade spirit spring were only weapon refiners. No one would use something as precious as supreme-grade spirit spring as energy liquid to cultivate. Chun Hao, who had been in a closed VIP seat for a long time, was sipping tea and eating exquisite snacks. At this moment, he was in an incomparably wonderful mood. He had long known that the rotten stones obtained from the primordial space were valuable, but he did not expect them to be so valuable. It was worlds apart from what he had imagined. Even the old god did not expect this. No wonder Senior Brother was so excited when I gave him this kind of stone. At this moment, Shen Hao also recalled Heavenly Venerable Yuan Ru's shock and excitement when he had given him some rotten stones in the Silver Wing ship when he had borrowed immortal origin crystals from him. Although the quality is low, I have a lot of them. Chen Hao felt as if he had struck it rich overnight. Part 1. Looking for monthly votes and recommendation votes. Thank you. To be continued. If you like this work, you're welcome to come to vote for me. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 567. Originally, Chun Hao had come to sell the rotten stones and the supreme-grade spiritual spring because he had been stimulated by the real arena. Everything can only be prepared and not used, but not used and not prepared. Moreover, his impossible level mission this time was not as simple as just completing the mission. What had Tantai Lien encountered in it, and whether he could rescue her after he went in, these were all unknown. The only thing he knew was that the real difficulty after he went in might not be the mission itself, but the cultivators who would come in after a period of time. The starting point of this impossible level mission was the headquarters of the Alliance in Xintian City. Obviously, this mission was for all the cultivators on the Asianing planet. It would gather the top cultivators in the human celestial stage on the Asianing planet. After all, not many people were as crazy as Tantai Lien. Moreover, after reading the specific description of this impossible level mission at the headquarters of the Alliance, Chen Hao vaguely understood the real reason why Tantai Lien had chosen this impossible level mission. Seeing more and more cultivators coming in, Chen Hao became more and more confident about the wealth he was about to obtain. However, at this moment, he suddenly saw 3 familiar figures. Long Ting, and the idiotic challenge maniac Tianjun. Why are they here too? Could it be that they're also here for my rotten stones? Chen Hao thought to himself. However, after thinking about it, he decided not to say anything for the time being. There were a total of 400,000 cultivators in the massive auction hall. Even though it was still a distance away from the number of people in a large-scale auction, it was still 4 to 5 times the number of people in a small-scale auction. Furthermore, more cultivators were still rushing over. After an hour, the auction officially began. An old man with an immortal aura and a radiant smile appeared in the arena. The moment the old man appeared, many people in the auction hall exclaimed in surprise. However, they soon quieted down. Chen Hao also learned the reason from the crowd's discussion. It turned out that this old man was a senior auctioneer who only appeared in large-scale auctions. His appearance today surprised everyone at first. However, when they thought about the items to be auctioned, they were not surprised. Everyone, I'm very sorry. This was supposed to be a small-scale auction, but it has become a large-scale auction. Many of you must have rushed back after receiving the news. Our auction house would like to express our apologies for any inconvenience caused by this situation. However, it is precisely because of the haste of the auction that the competition among all of you will be a little smaller. Ha! All right, let the auction begin. The first round would be 100 sets of origin stones of different attributes. Each group had 10 pieces of the same attribute. The starting price was 10,000 immortal essence crystals. Each increment must be no less than 100. Voila! The short opening speech caused an uproar in the entire auction house. From a very beginning? 100 sets. Amazing! It looked like the amount of origin stones that the seller had provided this time was definitely considerable. Let's see the quality of these 100 sets. Phew! I hope it has the attributes I need. The first group has 10 metal-type origin stones, low grade. Let the bidding begin. 20,000. As soon as the old auctioneer finished speaking, a young lady holding 10 pieces of the rotten stones that Chunhao had mentioned zoomed in and displayed them on a huge screen. A young cultivator at the human celestial stage, sitting in the front row, raised the price by 10,000 directly. He looked like he was determined to win. Damn it, he raised the price by 10,000 directly. One idiot. Isn't he trying to drive up the price? You can't say that. The one who strikes first gains the advantage, and the one who strikes last suffers. The origin stones have only attracted the attention of the cultivation world in recent years. No one knew whether they existed or not, but no one knew their value. Basically, they were used as ordinary energy stones or refining materials. Now, on the entire Asianing planet, who doesn't know their value? Just wait and see. The competition will be even fiercer later. Two cultivators discussed in private. At the same time, the second person to speak also raised the price by 1,000 directly, breaking the short silence. 30,000 stones. However, he did not expect the first bidder to raise the price by another 9,000 stones. Shoo! Countless cultivators booed. If the young man who made the bid was not a well-known, good-for-nothing disciple of the 5 big families of the Asianing planet, he would have been regarded as a pawn of the arena. Ha! What a freak! Was he born to help me? In the VIP box, Chunhao had a panoramic view of the scene outside, so he naturally saw who the young man who made the bid was. If it was not Shimin Feng, then who was the guy who gave him goosebumps and made him feel too embarrassed to kill? 30,000 stones, going once. Is there anyone else who wants to bid? Since everyone is rushed here, I'm sure you're all aware of the rarity and huge demand for the origin stones. A few years ago, some appeared on our Asianing planet. Fortunately, our auction house discovered its true value, and it attracted everyone's attention. Unfortunately, the number of stones that have appeared in recent years is very limited, far from being able to meet everyone's needs. If you miss this opportunity, 30,000 stones, going twice. 31,000 stones. 40,000 stones. As soon as the other party finished speaking, Shimin Feng raised the price by another 9,000 stones without giving the crowd any time to breathe. Humph! I'll take all the metal attribute stones. Who dares to bid? Not only did Shimin Feng bid, but he also added an extremely arrogant sentence. Damn it, this is a prodigal lunatic. Only an idiot would play with him. The cultivator who bid 31,000 sat down gloomily. Damn it, although I'm very happy, isn't this guy too stupid? If his enemy was here, why would he just watch? Although Chunhao was very happy, he also expressed sympathy for this guy's IQ. 41,000 stones. Sure enough, a calm voice came from not far away from Shimin Feng. It came from the mouth of a youth who was also in the VIP seats. As the young man spoke, he looked at Shimin Feng provocatively. Obviously, Chunhao had guessed correctly. The two of them did not get along well. Idiot. However, Chun Hao had guessed the process, but not the ending. The seemingly stupid Shimin Feng actually showed a smug look on his face when he heard the young man's bid. He softly spat out 2 words and sat down directly. In the end, the young man got it at the price of 41,000 stones. This made Chun Hao a little dumbfounded. Similarly, all the cultivators who knew Shimin Feng were also a little dumbfounded. When did this guy become so smart? As for the guy who was cheated by Shimin Feng, he was so angry that his teeth were chattering. 41,000 immortal essence crystals were nothing to him. The set of origin source stones that he had obtained was estimated to be worth at least 20,000 immortal essence crystals. In fact, he lost less than 20,000 stones. But it was embarrassing. He was actually cheated by a legendary hedonist and idiot. In the eyes of others, wouldn't he be even more of an idiot? Next were the 3 sets of wood, water, and fire attribute stones, all of which were low grade. The intensity of the auction was far from that of the first set. But in the end, Chun Hao was very satisfied with the final price. They were all sold for around 25,000 crystals. Next is the first set of Earth Attribute Origin Stones. The auction starts now. Please make your bids. 30,000 stones. Shimin Feng finally made his move again. He was still as domineering as before, directly increasing the price to 30,000 stones. The reason was very simple. He knew that someone would definitely make a move. 4F*CK. 31,000 stones. The young man who was cheated wanted to make a move without thinking. But just as he said 4 words, he saw Shimin Feng's provocative gaze and hurriedly change his words. You think I'm an idiot? Oomph. If you have the guts, make your bid again. 31,000 stones. Going once. 35,000 stones. Injuring the enemy 1,000 and losing 500. Seems not bad. Shimin Feng seemed to hesitate and made his bid again. 35,100 stones. These attributes are useless to me. I'd better give up. Playing with idiots is boring. Shimin Feng completed his goal and sat down directly. And the guy who was cheated twice in a row was so angry that his face turned green. These were the attributes that he needed. He bought what he needed at a price of 10,000 more than others. He didn't even care about this at all. How infuriating. If you have the guts, don't make a move. What's a little bit of money? I'll make sure you can't buy what you need. Haha. Then I'll play with you. Next were the derivative attributes. The first one was the derivative of the metal attribute and the thunder attribute. Everyone thought that Shimin Feng would make a move, but this time, he didn't, so the young man who was prepared to fight with Shimin Feng couldn't do anything. However, everyone realized that the price of the auction was slowly increasing. Although it didn't increase by much after dozens of sets, the price also increased to about 30,000 per set. After the first 100 sets were auctioned, it reached 35,000. This was something that no one had expected. Beep, beep, beep. In the second world, Chun Hao received a transfer message from the wealth card. Shockingly, the proceeds from the first round of 100 sets of origin stones had arrived. Deducting the 5% commission from the auction house, Chun Hao had a total of 287 million immortal core crystals. According to the current market, getting 10 million immortal core crystals shouldn't be a big problem. It's barely enough for me to purchase mineral veins. Chun Hao thought to himself. Chun Hao had already consulted the market about the price of mineral veins. Rare and precious mineral veins with special functions were naturally only available in the auction house. Precious mineral veins with large production volumes were clearly marked with prices, and these were naturally what Chun Hao needed. It was also because of this that Chun Hao had agreed with the auction house in advance that the first round would be auctioning 100 sets of origin stones. He also asked the other party to make a timely transfer so that he would have the capital to make a move when he saw the mineral veins he needed. This was because what he wanted to refine was not only equipment and weapons, but also his own aircraft. The Silver Wings modification was already very impressive, but unfortunately, it was a public aircraft on the Wuji planet, and he couldn't take it away. Moreover, he didn't need such a big aircraft for the time being. Firstly, if he could bring such a big aircraft with him, Once it was discovered, it would definitely cause a commotion. After all, no one's mind could store such a big thing, not even a heavenly celestial expert. Otherwise, the Silver Wing wouldn't have stopped at the designated aircraft parking area in Golden Light City. Secondly, he didn't have the capital to purchase such a large amount of materials. The only thing that Chun Hao regretted a little was that he had used all the materials he had obtained on the Silver Wing. If he had known this would happen, he wouldn't have sold so many origin stones and supreme-grade spirit spring water if he could have kept some for himself. Second update. Only a pitiful 1 monthly vote today. Run away in tears, continue to fight. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my greatest motivation. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.